right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. I don't know why the last stream did what it did. It was scheduled for some time, an hour from now, and then I went live, and then it wasn't actually going live. Like, I was live on the stream that you guys were just on, and I was talking, but, like, it wasn't actually live. I think that was a bug with StreamYard, but it was my mistake when I put the initial time wrong, but then it didn't start working out. So I just made a new stream. So we're here. We're live. So we're back. What a day it's been. What a freaking day it has been. I mean, it's one of those days, folks, where, holy crap, you just kind of look at your portfolio and you're like, oh my goodness, I am happy I'm invested. Bitcoin, this is the story of the day. All-time highs, 113. 113.252 on Bitcoin. It's green. And it's not the only thing that's green, but it is indeed green. Bitcoin right there, 113,000 on the day. SoFi, hopefully we get that $21 close. We got about 10 minutes left. Robinhood, it's been a fun day for Robinhood. It's been trying to get to 100. Can't get there. I mean, it hasn't been able to get there yet, but it's been trying. So we'll see if we can get that $100 close in about 10 minutes. Probably not going to get 100, but still very nice to see it up about 4% of the day. Palantir right here, 142, basically flat. Tessie, 4.5%. This thing was 288 on Monday. Now it's at 310. Not too bad. NVIDIA back to 4 trillion at 164. AMD 144. Google 177. Grab relatively flat all day. Amazon right here 222. Meta 727. I mean, a lot of names have been flat, but the S&P 500 did hit all-time highs. It's a little bit below all-time highs, but we got to 628 this morning. And we got Bitcoin, which has been really the story of the day right here at 113,000. So very excited to see some of this momentum. We got a bunch of different headlines that we'll talk about as we get into the market close. Again, sorry about the first stream. I don't know why I had the time wrong. And then when I did go live on that stream, like I was talking for 2 minutes and I kept looking at the chat and you guys were like, why isn't he live? And StreamYard said I was live, but YouTube wasn't live. So I just had to delete the stream and start over. So we are here and we got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Now, here's the first story that I want to get into real quick. This just broke like 5 minutes before I went live. And this is probably why NVIDIA is getting a little bit of a pump. Jensen Huang will meet President Trump today at the White House before his trip to China. Apparently, Huang is traveling to China. Now, yesterday, the Bloomberg report was that NVIDIA is working on a brand new chip for China. We already have a trade deal with China, quote unquote, trade deal. And so you would imagine the export controls are eventually going to get lifted. One of the things that the United States is going to have to give up to China is these chips because China is giving up a lot of things to us in regards to rare earth minerals. We have no details on when those export controls are going to be lifted, but if they do get lifted soon, and if Jensen can kind of work some magic with Trump and get the job done, and we get that China revenue back, very, very bullish for NVIDIA. So that news just came out. That's why NVIDIA is popping back above 164 right here. Hopefully we get a 164 close. This would be the first $4 trillion close if we get it. If not, then it is what it is, but it looks like there's a shot that we can get there. Now, one of the names that has not been doing the best today is BMNR. I know it's ugly. It's disgusting. I've heard some stories today about people being down a lot of money on BMNR, and obviously it's not fun to see those stories and see people down money. I think there's a couple things to say on this. So first of all, Tom Lee did an interview just now specifically talking about this. We saw in the morning he was on CNBC and he was getting pressed. I mean, he was being asked some pretty serious questions about dilution and how it gets done and kind of the long-term strategy behind Ethereum in and of itself. And you could tell he was a little nervous in those interviews. He wasn't the classic kind of same Tom Lee that is very confident in what he's saying. And that's probably because he knows that there is going to be dilution and there's going to be tactics that this company uses as an Ethereum treasury that are not going to be the most friendly towards shareholders. I think there's two takeaways. Number one, this is a momentum play. And if you're chasing momentum to the upside, it can hurt you to the downside. And I think hopefully we've done a good job on the show for the past couple of weeks, just saying that there are a lot of names like a Big Bear AI that ran up a lot today, down 3%. It was down 10% in the morning, recovering a little bit. But some of these names, if you just get them when the momentum is very high, when it comes down, it sucks. Having said that, if they're fundamentally good companies or fundamentally good strategies, because BMNR is more of a ETH strategy versus a company, then you can hold theoretically and break even or at least make money on it in the long term. But I get it in the moment when you're chasing, and it happens to the best of us. I chased on Webull. I'm down like 10% on Webull. It happens. And it's just one of those things you want to try to stop into the future. Now, here's a clip of Tom Lee, who was specifically asked, why is BMNR tanking today, but Ethereum and Bitcoin are up? And here's what he had to say. He pretty much said what I said in the morning, which is that they're trying to become the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. But here's him specifically answering what the long-term thesis is.
Today, BTC is outperforming, MSTR and ETH is outperforming Bitmine. Why are the treasuries underperforming the underlying asset if they have a higher beta? Great question there.
Well, there is going to be day-to-day volatility, so it's really difficult for someone to necessarily take a lot of conclusions from one day to the next. But keep in mind, when MicroStrategy began its Bitcoin strategy, Bitcoin was around 16,000. And now MicroStrategy has had a 25 times total return. Part of it is because of the rise in Bitcoin. And part of it, of course, is their ability to be a treasury company. So I think when someone looks at Ethereum today, which is still below its all-time highs, and I think potentially, as Mark Newton points out, could be 5 to 10,000, which is a 4x from here, it should make sense that the Ethereum treasury stocks should do better than a 4x, because that is just the rise in the asset value of their underlying holdings. But of course, then there would be the ability of these treasury companies to acquire more Ethereum in that process. So I do think as time passes, it makes sense that the treasury stock should outperform Ethereum.
That hasn't happened for MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, even at this later stage.
Year to date, MicroStrategy is up 45% and Bitcoin is up 21%. So even just if I look at the last 6 months, a holder of MicroStrategy earned twice the return by owning MicroStrategy over Bitcoin.
Right, in that time period. Okay.
So that's his argument. And I know some people might hate hearing it, but basically the TLDR of what he just said is, hey, I'm trying to become the sailor of MicroStrategy. Ethereum is at 2,500. I think Ethereum will be at 10,000, just like Bitcoin went from 20,000 to 113,000 today. And if you believe in that long-term thesis on Ethereum, then a treasury company will give you more leverage. Now, if you're down on BMNR today, you probably don't care about that. You probably don't want to hear that. But then again, the reason you bought in either was because of hype or because you believed in the Ethereum treasury strategy. And a lot of people that were in MicroStrategy on the early days, they did not get returns for a couple of years until Bitcoin made the move, which allowed the derivative alpha plays to also make their move at a higher beta than Bitcoin. But nonetheless, it took time. And so from this perspective, I think it's just one of those things that if you're down on this, you're going to have to wait it out. I personally, I don't know. It comes down to your personal financial situation, right? Do you need to sell and take the loss and just protect your money? Or do you have the time frame to watch this thesis play out if the thesis does play out? But it comes down to, do you believe in that Ethereum treasury strategy? And that's essentially what Tom Lee said right there, that he is trying to become the MicroStrategy of Ethereum, and that just might take some time. So that one right here down 33%. SBET, I think, is the opposite. SBET is up today 8%. That one not doing too bad. And then BTBT, that one is also down 4% right here. Robinhood 98.43. Been a fun day for Hoodie, up about 4%. UNH, why is that down? Honestly, I don't have the specific answer outside of what I said in the morning, which was the Wall Street Journal article. The actual answer, I think, is because growth is catching a bid. I mean, when Bitcoin is going up as much as it is, all-time highs, the risk-on appetite is there. UNH is not a risk-on play. UNH is a, hey, let's get defensive, let's be safe, let's buy this. So in 2 years, hopefully it gets to 400, 420, and it takes some time, right? But like, it is not one of those plays that is going to go up overnight. When Bitcoin's running like this, people are buying Robinhood, they're buying Coinbase, they're buying MicroStrategy. They're not really allocated to UNH. So I think that, along with the Wall Street Journal article yesterday, is probably why it's taken a bit of a breather. Google right here, 177. Sundar did say that VO3, their video model, has now 40 million videos that has been produced since they launched it a couple months ago. So incredible growth from that perspective, and a lot more growth than Apple. We will talk more about Apple after the bell. Apple right here is up a little bit on the day. Lightshed Partners came out with a report today, and the report has been going kind of viral on Wall Street. And the report was Tim Cook should be fired. That is the report. So we're going to talk about Apple after the close and discuss kind of what's playing out with Apple. But you got the street talking today. Should Tim Cook be fired? I think it's a little aggressive to say he should be fired, but I'm very curious what you guys have to say, and we'll go deeper into that thesis as well. Rock Lab right here, 39, just below 40. It did get close to 40 at 39.68 or 39.94. But it's hovering just in that $39 range. Disney right here, 121. NVIDIA, 164. I think we're going to get the $4 trillion close, folks, on NVIDIA. I think we're going to get it. I think we will get a shot. Cybersecurity, I still didn't find out the reason why it got smacked today. I think there's a couple of headlines around downgrades, but I think those downgrades are tied to something greater. So we'll try to get deeper behind why Fortinet, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, down 5%. There's got to be some story out there that I haven't seen, so we'll try to figure that out. But all those took a little bit of a hit. SoFi, 2 cents away from the $21 close, and NVIDIA, if it can hold above 163.93, we will have the first $4 trillion close on this company. And we got about 50 seconds left to see if we can do it. Oscar, did this one recover? This was at 15 in the morning. 15.49. All right, so still down 4%. It's been a nasty fall from 23. Lemonade as well, another insurance company, took a hit. That's another reason why UNH is down. I mean, all the insurance companies are taking a bit of a hit right here. Lemonade down about 5%. Robinhood looks like we're going to get a 98.50 close. Again, she wants 100. She wants 100. By the way, we do have some updates on Vlad, who is working on another company, and we'll talk about some stuff that they announced today. But Robinhood right here at 98.70. All right, folks, here we go. We got about 15 seconds left. We got a bunch of headlines to discuss as we get into the market close. Also, money market inflows. We're going to look at those as soon as we get into the close, and we'll analyze and see what happens from there. All right, here we go. Thursday, July 10th, 4 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now NVIDIA, for the first time ever, closes at a $4 trillion market cap. Market's resilient. This market is resilient. I mean, you had a bunch of headlines happen over the past 48 hours, and still this market says, no, we are ready to go higher. NVIDIA, 164. SoFi did not get the $21 close, 20.97, close enough. Hopefully tomorrow we get that, but we did touch 21.32 today on SoFi. Robinhood gets a 98.62 close, not too bad. Palantir, 142. Tessie, 310 on the dot. Not too bad for Tesla. NVIDIA right here, 164.07. S&P 500 got to an all-time high, closed just below that all-time high, but 625.71 on the S&P. AMD, great day, up 4%. Grab right here, 492. There was a lot of volume on the Grab options today. I will tell you guys the specific strike in a second. It was a $5 strike, but I'll get the exact date. I think it's August 15th. Lots of volume coming into that call, so we'll look at that as well when we look at some of the option flows. Amazon right here, 222. Reddit, 142. Meta, 727. Salesforce, 263. PayPal, 7570. Elf, 115. Bitcoin, the story of the day. We touched 112 very briefly yesterday, and then we broke through 112. I was actually having lunch with Adam, who is one of the biggest bulls I know on Bitcoin, and so it was really nice. We were at lunch. I was like, oh, dude, we got Bitcoin at all-time highs, bro. We got Bitcoin at all-time highs. This was him at lunch today. So there he is. And we had Bitcoin hit 112, and then it just hit 113, and we're like, oh, okay, well, this lunch feels more fun now that Bitcoin's at all-time high. So 113,427 right there. SMCI 50.26, TLT 86.95. Where was MP? They got a 40% stake from the DoD today. That one's up 51%. Not too bad. Circle right here, 202. App 11,346. That one down about 1.64%. Enphase 42.97. Coinbase 389. Wow. Coinbase, I think that's 52-week highs, folks. Yeah, that's trying to go for 400 on Coinbase. And then MSTR, 421. MSTR as well, up about 2% on the day. Where was CoreWeave? That stock down 10%. Okay, CoreWeave, we all know it's an aggressive multiple. I don't think there's any specific headline taking CoreWeave down. Maybe just investors taking some profits here going into NVIDIA. That could also be happening. The street really didn't love the Core Scientific deal, but I mean, you can't blame CoreWeave for doing that. At the end of the day, they need to expand their data center operation. So that stock is taking a bit of a hit. AMD right here, 144. Where was Nebius then? If CoreWeave got hit, Nebius. Oh, wow. CoreWeave went the opposite of Nebius. They usually trade together. That means the street specifically was not the happiest about CoreWeave today. So there you go. What a day, folks. What a day. All right, before we get into the headlines, let's do this because I think on a day like this, we can do the update. Year-to-dates. Year-to-dates in the chat. My year-to-date is 74.5%. 74.5% on my year-to-date. Yeah, that there. Sorry. So Eric has it right there. 45,000 Grab contracts for $5 on August 1st were traded today. So a bit aggressive, but there was very, very heavy volume at that $5 strike 45,000 of them were traded. I think people are expecting a big move after earnings. And hopefully, if they can execute on earnings, then we should be able to see some momentum. All right, I'm looking at all these. Everyone's pretty much above 30%. I mean, the far majority of people. Leah's up 137%. Aaron's up 88%. Nubank is down 4% because of the tariffs on Brazil. If those go away, if Trump takes those back, then I think Nubank will be fine. But all the Brazilian stocks kind of have to react to that based on those tariffs. Carrington's up 106%. Brandon's up 69%. Raj is up 51%. I'm Beneficial's up 116%. K Hoon is up 108%. Brandon's up 31%. Jonathan's up 23%. G Ma's up 54%. 58.1, 38, 51, 37. I mean, dude, we are crushing it as retail investors. We are freaking crushing it. I'll tell you right now, if there were, 100 fund managers in front of us, they would not be up anywhere near these levels because, to be fair to them, they do manage a lot more money. They have to be a lot more conservative, but still, they did not buy the dip. They didn't buy the dip. It's just that simple. They didn't buy the dip. And part of the reason they didn't buy the dip is probably because they didn't trust this rally. They didn't trust in this momentum. They didn't trust in a lot of these companies. You cannot say this is a meme stock market. I don't accept that. There are some stocks that are aggressive. There is some frothiness. I will give you that. But you cannot say NVIDIA's a meme stock. You cannot say HUD's a meme. You cannot say that there is earnings growth. And I think we're going to get more earnings growth. We got great earnings growth from Delta today. Delta right here. They raised guidance 56.77. That was up 12% on the day. Where did JetBlue end? This is a triple V favorite. JetBlue up 9%. Not too bad. United Airlines as well. Up 14%. Wow. The street really gave United Airlines a 15% day off Delta's earnings. That's incredible, bro. That means they're expecting United to crush it, and they're also expecting travel demand to be massive. Like, you can't tell me that's a meme stock rally. Like, I just, it's hard to accept that. So from that perspective, retail investors are absolutely crushing it right here. Yeah, everyone. I'm seeing everyone. Everyone's pretty much, I think the averages are like at least 35% in the chat. You got a lot of people in triple digits right here. Amazing. Amazing stuff. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations to everybody. Again, I went on this rant yesterday for honestly 2 hours on the market close if you were there, but it is very special to be an investor. Me and Adam were talking about it today. It is something that makes you feel like you can change your life. It's something that gives you autonomy. It's something that makes you feel like you have a purpose in life when you're following these companies and your personal net worth is invested in them and you want to see them succeed because you can succeed as well. And it is a level of freedom that very few people, not even in America, but on this entire planet, get to experience. But when you do get a chance to get a hint of it, a taste of it, no matter where you are on your journey, it is life-changing. And you just want to take it as far as you can. And you can never go back to not being an investor once you become an investor. Some years are going to be great. Some years are going to suck. Some days are going to be great. Some days are going to suck. But it is the beauty of allocating capital, especially in one of the greatest markets ever, which is the American market that has some of the best companies in the world, to compound that capital. So there we go. Awesome stuff. Congrats to everybody. Let's talk about Apple. We got a bunch of other headlines. Before we get into Apple, real quick, let's do this story and then we'll get into Apple because that was a big headline today. Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev raised $100 million for his math-focused AI startup, Harmonics, which is a company that it's called Harmonic AI. They raised the $250 million Series A by Sequoia, which is one of the best VC firms in the country, last year, May of 2024. They just raised the Series B at almost $1 billion valuation, $875 million, which means this would be Vlad's second billion-dollar company. And they raised $100 million in a Series B. Now, the goal of this, we got some more details today. This has kind of been under the radar what this company is trying to do. But essentially, Vlad said they're trying to create mathematical superintelligence. The near-term goal is to build an AI that solves math problems at a level that is superior to any human. The ultimate goal would be to solve major unsolved mathematical problems that expand to problems in physics and computer science. Now, I think there's a couple of different perspectives here. Robinhood, by the way, trying to get to 99 after hours, 98, 95. Number one, Elon said yesterday with Grok V4, which, by the way, he said in the morning that Grok's coming to Teslas by latest next week, which I think would be amazing. I did not know he said that, but you guys showed it to me this morning. So if we get Grok in our Teslas, that would be awesome. Elon said that Grok V4 can solve major physics problems and mathematical problems. So Elon kind of, to an extent, validated what Vlad was talking about today in the new fundraising by saying, hey, we need to solve some of the more high-level mathematical problems because that can create breakthroughs in the overall understanding of superintelligence. Now, I don't think Grok is focused on math, whereas Harmonics, Vlad's new startup, it is only focused on maths. By the way, Robinhood 99 after hours. Robinhood, there you go. $99 after hours. And so I think because they're so hyper focused on mathematical superintelligence, that is where I guess you can say they're differentiated as an AI company. The question just becomes, what their strategy is to execute on achieving that mathematical superintelligence. So that's the first takeaway from this. The second takeaway from this is, what if he's so focused on building mathematical superintelligence because Robinhood is a company that deals with numbers, obviously, right? Because you're talking about the stock market. Is there some type of breakthrough he's seeing in terms of a synergy behind mathematical superintelligence and Robinhood, aka Robinhood using Harmonic's AI models to be able to, I don't even know, right? That's up to him as a company and him as a CEO and as a company to figure out. So I don't know. I don't think Vlad would just start another startup because he's bored, right? Because he has a lot to do with Robinhood and he's working 24/7. So I would imagine there might be some synergy between this new startup and the startup and the public company he's running. And maybe that's another reason why these investors are giving him so much money. I mean, he's raised $350 million over the past year because they might see their return coming from Robinhood being the main use case of this mathematical superintelligence. So that's what we got in the context of Robinhood. 99.09 after hours. The other big update on Robinhood is that they officially are allowing staking on the platform with Solana and ETH in the United States. So it's only been available in Europe. It is officially available in the United States. And as a result, that is another reason why I think the market got excited about them today, because, now you can stake ETH and Sol in the US, which is why we're getting some momentum. Real quick, before I go to the Apple headlines, the White House tweeted something today. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they did tweet this today. It was a meme, I guess. The caption is "Panican's hardest hit." And you have a green image to represent the green market and someone who is trying to not look at the stock market going up. So that is the White House's response to everyone who was panicking. And now the stock market is green. This is what Trump tweeted in the morning. NVIDIA is up 47% since the Trump tariffs. USA is raking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. Country is back. Jay Powell should cut rates. Kind of the same stuff he's been saying. But yeah, that is what the White House said this morning. Okay, Apple. Let's talk about Apple. The headline on the street is that Tim Cook needs to be replaced. Let's get an update by Mr. Dan Ives and see his perspective, and then we'll analyze it and kind of have that discussion. What is going on with Apple?
A product-focused CEO missing on AI could fundamentally alter the company's long-term trajectory and ability to grow at all. This is a pivotal moment for Apple. It's time for more disruptive change, not less.
And look,
it is a pivotal moment, right?
100%. I mean, look, me and you've talked about it, especially the last 18 months. Mm-hmm. They've had black eye moments. If you think about WWDC, everything that they promised, they basically had to backtrack on last year. This year, was the snooze fest, a yawner. And you have this AI revolution going through. And it does feel like in this AI highway, going 100 miles an hour, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, that Apple's at a rest stop, sitting there just watching it, drinking lemonade. So the frustration...
That doesn't paint a very great picture, Dan.
And I think, to me, I disagree what Walter's saying about Cook needs to go. I agree from an M&A perspective. This is time for Cook to rip the Band-Aid off. We talk about Perplexity. That is the no-brainer deal. And I would say if Cook stays on the treadmill when it comes to AI, this would impact, I think, his long-term legacy. I view him as a Hall of Fame CEO, but it would definitely be, I think, it is a pivotal moment.
Okay, it's funny that you use a sports analogy because
Okay, real quick, we'll get back to Apple, but hold on. I didn't know we had earnings with Levi's. We got to cover that. Levi's up 12%. I did not see Levi's on my calendar, but apparently we have Levi's. Let me get those numbers real quick, and then we'll go back to Apple. This is good, bro. Levi's is a retailer, and we want to see people buying clothes. Like, we want to see people having the disposable income to buy some new jeans. That is a sign of a healthy economy. Wow, Levi's. Holy guacamole. 22 cents versus 13 cents EPS. They beat by, of course, 69%. And then revenues 1.4 versus 1.3. They beat by 6%. Oh my. What is causing that EPS beat? Is that a Google SpaceX EPS beat? Is that a little trick to get us to think that they're growing really well? Or I'm just making fun of Google, but still, like, why is that? That's a big beat. Is that AI? They became more efficient? Let's see. Let's get some coverage right there on Levi's. See what's happening.
Does feel like ages ago. Drew Pettit, thank you. The S&P closing at a record high, 62.80. We've got Levi Strauss earnings out. Courtney Reagan has the numbers for us. Hi, Court.
Hi, Morgan. Yeah, when you take a look at this report, it's pretty much good across the board. Levi Strauss putting up an earnings beat of 22 cents adjusted. The street estimate was for 13 cents, also well above what the company had predicted itself for the quarter. Levi Strauss revenues also stronger than expected at 1.45 billion. The street was looking for 1.37 billion. America's revenue, Europe, also higher than expected. The operating margin coming in at 7.5%. The street was looking for 6%. Gross margin also at 62.6%, slightly above analyst expectations. Direct-to-consumer revenues, this is important because this is where the company is sort of really heading and pushing a lot of its muscle. They increased 11%, and now they say 50% of their net revenues came from the direct-to-consumer business. Wholesale revenues increased 3%. The company also raising its full year top and bottom line guidance and is now incorporating the impact of tariffs. They are assuming, though, that these tariffs remain at about 30% on China and then 10% for the rest of the world. And then one last note, they are raising their dividend to 14 cents a share. You can see here shares are moving higher in response here by.
Dude, this is so bullish. They're raising the dividend. They're saying the tariffs are not going to affect them, and they beat EPS by 70%. I mean, what more can you ask for? They're giving you a better dividend. You got the stock up 10%. They're saying the tariffs are not that big of a deal, and they're able to show growth way ahead of expectations, way ahead of not only the street expectations, but their own internal expectations. It doesn't look like there's any accounting tricks to get that type of an EPS beat. That's just pure growth, more demand. Potentially, I mean, I'll try to go through their numbers and see if they did anything on the cost cutting side that increased their margins, but they couldn't. I mean, did they increase their margins enough to have a 70% beat? Like, that's just more growth. That's just way more growth. Now, granted, how did the stock perform over the past year? Maybe the expectations were so low. Maybe it's kind of like a Nike situation, which is what's causing this. Levi's year to date actually was up 13%. So it's not like this was not doing well this year. Now it's up basically 20% with the after hours move. Over the past year was up 6%. It's not like it was like down in the dumps, down 30, 40%. So, Nike was just a horrible situation going into the last earnings. That's pretty bullish, folks. I mean, if that's what the retailers, if that's what Abercrombie and Ulta and Elf and some of these other companies are going to give us, the Lowe's, the Home Depots of the world, that would be very, very exciting. Robin right here, 98.70 after hours. Tesla 311 still going up after hours. Elon did say that robotaxi is coming to the Bay Area in a couple months, and that Austin is going to expand their geofencing. That, along with Grok coming to Tesla and the broader market being bullish today, I think is what helped Tesla get some momentum. So if I right here, 2097, Google 177, then the S&P 625.47. Has anyone bought a pair of Levi jeans in like the past month? Like, I mean, I know they have that major Beyonce partnership. That also could have been one of the things that helped them. I mean, yeah, Beyonce still is a worldwide brand, right? So that could be helping sales, but pretty incredible. Pretty incredible for Levi's on this earnings. All right, let's get back to Apple, and then we'll analyze what's going on with Tim Cook.
Always thought that the criticism here was a little bit funny. And that in many regards, it was a no-win following an iconic legend like Steve Jobs. I almost look at it like, and you're a sports guy, you're a baseball guy. Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. Joe DiMaggio, 325 career batting average, won 9 World Series. Who took over after Joe DiMaggio? Mickey Mantle. Yep. Was he a slouch? Was he Joe DiMaggio? I mean, he only batted .298 for his career, and he only won 7 World Series. But are you going to tell me that Mickey Mantle didn't do his job well?
And you're talking.
I have no idea who these people are. So if you're lost in the chat, don't worry, I'm with you. But I think he's trying to get to a point that Tim Cook is still pretty good, even if he's not as good as Steve Jobs. But I don't know who these people are.
Talking about obviously 2 of the legends, but I'll add.
Well, Tim Cook's delivered 1,500% return since he's a CEO. And what does that make him?
And I'll add to that. He is the Mickey Mantle of tech. But Mickey Mantle went through periods where he had different bats and that was parts of his success. If you look at Cook, what he needs to do here, when it comes to AI, we're not talking about anything else except for in the Apple ecosystem. With AI, it's not going to happen internally. For the first time, we talk about it, since Beats 2014, $3 billion, they have to change. And I think the frustration's building, and I just continue to believe you'll not have the status quo. Cook will lead Apple for the next, what I believe, 4 or 5 years. But AI, it's a pivotal time for Cook to get off that treadmill.
Steve Kovac, I mean, at what point does he have to prove, that is Tim Cook, that he has?
I'm going to put a poll in the chat. I think it's a very interesting question. Should Tim Cook be fired? The stock is up 1,500% since he's taken over as CEO. It's down 8% over the past year. Obviously, we've seen some of the failures they've had in AI. Meta just poached some of their top executives. But do you think Tim Cook should be fired by the board?
As what it takes to take Apple into that next level to cement his legacy as a great CEO, one who can deliver what Walter Piecyk says needs to be delivered.
Yeah, it's next year. It's 2026, Scott, and that's when they said, okay, we're going to take our time, fix the Siri update. It wasn't up to snuff. That's why we had to delay it this year, and they're kicking the can until next year. So between now and sometime next year, let's just call it WWDC of 2026, June of 2026. By then, if they don't announce then people will have to start to worry. But like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Scott, and you also mentioned the tear the stock has been on over the last several days. Part of that is because what ignited that, or the catalyst for that, was this Bloomberg report that Apple might just kind of give up on building its own large language model and instead look for a partner and license the technology from Anthropic or OpenAI. I'm going to guess after Grok's week, not Grok on the list, but there is a chance there for them to use technology that's already proven that they can do securely and fulfill all those privacy promises they do and deliver on the user-facing stuff that they said Siri is going to be able to do. And I think that is why we've seen, or at least part of why we've seen so much of the optimism. We're leaving out tariffs too, though. So much of the reason of this poor stock performance, Scott, too, is because of the tariff issue, which is largely out of Tim Cook's control. They've done a decent job at managing and moving production to India, flying all those iPhones over to the United States to dodge the worst of the tariffs and things like that. They're still going to take a $900 million charge this quarter because of all the tariff issues. But
so that's the argument. That is the argument for why this stock has not really performed. They're kicking the can until 2026. Here are the updates from Apple from Bloomberg today. Apple plans a major device refresh by early 2026. Apple is set to launch a refreshed MacBook Pro, the new iPhone 17e, and updated iPads as well. And the iPhone 17 is expected to follow an annual upgrade cycle. Obviously, AI Siri is what everyone's looking for, and that probably is, I mean, if it's not out by 2026, we got some issues. But that is what Apple is saying they will get, and that's what Bloomberg is reporting. 56% of you say yes, Tim Cook should be fired. Wow. Okay. My opinion would be, look, I think Apple has dropped the ball on AI. I do not think this guy should be fired. I mean, like, I think it's, yes, is he a product visionary? No. Is he an amazing operational talent? Absolutely. And I don't think you fire someone like that unless you come to the conclusion that Apple's next stage of growth requires a new product, which is probably correct. You can't just get by with iPhone and services. And then the question becomes, can Tim Cook get some help to figure out that product? Or do you need someone who's like a product visionary? And even if you conclude you do need someone who's a product visionary and you need to get rid of Tim Cook, who the hell do you make the CEO of Apple? I mean, Apple employs 200,000 people. It's responsible for 2 trillion of the world's GDP. 7 million people have a full-time job because of Apple, even if they're not literally employed by Apple in their different supply chains and vendors that work with them. So it's kind of hard to say that someone else could manage that better than Tim Cook. Maybe they can, but I don't know. It's a tough bet to make. But I think that's going to be the question that people think about now when it comes to Apple. Now, granted, if you fundamentally believe that Apple is just going to be a stock that buys back its shares and grow at like 2 to 3% a year, then maybe you really do have to get a product visionary and get rid of Tim Cook. But it's going to be up to Apple to figure out if that's the case. Vlad just tweeted, so there is the picture of Kleiner Perkins leads a $100 million investment in Robinhood CEO AI startup aiming to build mathematical superintelligence. Vlad tweeted, that's the look when you know mathematical superintelligence is coming. All right, so Vlad's pretty bullish on this. Vlad is pretty freaking bullish on mathematical superintelligence. I have not dived deep into Harmonics as AI startup. The name of the model, though, is called Aristotle. Aristotle, which is a famous philosopher. If anyone's ever studied philosophy, you probably learned about Aristotelian ethics, ethos, pathos, logos, all that stuff. So it's called Aristotle. And I wonder, is Robinhood going to kind of use that technology, if you're talking about numbers here, to potentially power the next generation of AI technology that's incorporated into the platform? Maybe. And maybe that's why investors are giving him as much money as they are. So that's what we got on Robinhood and Apple. We got a breaking news update right here. Fox reports Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has issued sweeping new orders to ramp up drone production and deployment, aiming to fast-track capabilities across the military. Okay, so that will have some impacts on Red Cat potentially after hours. Wow, that's up 6%. There you go. And then maybe Archer to an extent. That is also up 3%. Looks like the drone companies, PDYN is another one, are catching a little bit of a bid. That one, it was up, now it's flat, based on what Pete Hegseth is ordering after hours. UMAC, that's another one. Yup. A lot of these drone companies. Dude, drones, UMAC, there you go. Was that up 15% on the day, or is that up after hours? UMAC was up 7% on the day. It's up 7% after hours. Katos, that's another one. Kratos, they are up a little bit after hours, up about 2%. Drones, baby. The world is moving to drones. Yeah, AVAV, that's another one. The world is moving to drones, especially in the environment of the battlefield, right? Autonomous drone warfare on the battlefield. That is definitely catching a bid. Aero environment right there at 242. Palantir 142 after hours. Tesla 310. Robinhood 98.80. And then NVIDIA just under that 164. Arrow, yeah, that was an IPO. We haven't looked at this in a minute. 2264, up 5%. I mean, this one went from 10 to 37, came down to 22, which is, it's still up a double from its like SPAC price, or not SPAC, from its IPO price, but that one is up based on this news as well. ONDS, I've been seeing this ticker get some momentum. Ondas, that one. Dude, you guys keep finding these small caps, bro. Every day there's a new one. I saw it on Twitter. I didn't look into it. Now you guys are mentioning it. $300 million market cap. Ondas engages in the development, marketing, and sale of wireless radio systems for secure, wide area, mission critical business-to-business networks. Every day you guys are finding some of these. Look, I have no problem if you invest this and chase this and make some money. It's the BMNRs of the world where you buy at 130, 140, and then it drops 40% yesterday, 33% today, and now you're holding it back. That's one of the hardest parts about it. D-Pro, that's another one. Yep, look at that. That was up how much after hours? That was up 17% for the day. It was up 12% during the day, 4% after hours. There you go. A lot of these drone names buzzing right on that news from Pete Hegseth right here. Looks like the government is going to be buying some drones. Looks like the government is going to be buying some drones. Okay, we got money market inflows. Let me know what you think. Increased or decreased? What do you think? Last week, they increased by $55 billion. I have the numbers right now in front of me. What do you guys think? Increase or decrease on the money market funds? Palantir and Red Cat do work together. That is correct. Palantir powers a lot of the software behind Red Cat's drone manufacturing. So they do work together. In general, I mean, again, I think the big, beautiful bill allocated $1 trillion for defense. So the government's got plenty of money. I mean, that's probably how the government, the DOD justified their $440 million stake in MP today. They've got the money to do it. And they're probably going to be buying a lot more drones as well as they get ready for a new autonomous form of the battlefield. Anduril's the one that we need to go public, dude. Anduril is going to be the major beneficiary out of all of this, but they are just not going public yet. All right, pretty much all of you say decrease. There's a few of you that say increase. The answer is kind of a nothing burger. Decrease by $5 billion. Decrease by $5 billion. So there you go. Small one, but we did get a decrease by $5 billion. Nothing too crazy. Markets are at all-time highs. I expect those decreases to get more intense as the market eventually assumes we will get a rate cut. But as of now, small decrease this week for money market funds. Here's a stat that I found interesting today. JP Morgan said that Amazon, from their checks, replaced NVIDIA as the most bought stock in the market last week. So NVIDIA has basically for the past, I think 3-4 weeks, based on the report I was reading, been the number one bought stock in the entire market across every exchange. Amazon replaced them last week. And I think the reason they replaced them last week is because people were expecting Prime Day to be bullish. Obviously, you saw Oracle's earnings, and the market is like, wait a second, if Oracle's going to have this much compute demand, specifically for AI workloads, that means Azure and AWS, GCP as well, but realistically, Azure and AWS are really going to get the benefit of all that computing demand. So we should probably be more bullish for AWS as a as a revenue driver for Amazon that's actually going to beat Microsoft. We finally got back to 35% growth. The street was expecting 32. They beat by 3%. That's why that stock popped. It's at all-time highs, and maybe the street's hoping for the best when it comes to Amazon. While the street is buying Amazon, the most bought stock outside of NVIDIA last week, Bezos just sold 485,000 shares after hours today. So there you go. Bezos just sold another 485,000 shares. So that's $108 million. He is only 27.1% of the way through his most recent filing. Remember, he filed to sell $5 billion worth of stock. So he has about 70% left of stock that he has to sell, and he's going to be taking every milestone. Look at this. He got the top today, 224, or yesterday, 224, 224.02. Amazon today is at 222. Amazon's at 222. So every time this ticks up $1, whoever manages his money is going to be, making sure they take some profits. It's kind of wild, bro. Amazon was the most bought stock last week outside of NVIDIA, and Bezos is just like, cool. You guys can have my shares. I got them at like 0.000005 cents back in 1993. You guys can buy them for $224. There you go. So that's what we got there. Okay, I want to figure out what's going on with the cybersecurity names, but before that, we'll try to do some digging together. Here is the update on Grab. So the exact number right here, 54,000 calls were purchased today for the $5 strike expiring August 1st, and 1,000 puts were purchased today. The overall volume on Grab today was 66,549 calls, 2,000 puts, which is kind of crazy. That's a 0.02% put call ratio. And I mean, it's kind of bullish because that means there's a lot of people buying calls over puts. The overall call to put ratio across the entire market in the open interest, I believe it was at a 0.18 put call ratio. Now it's at a 0.19. So 1.068 million calls, 198,000 puts. So look, we talked about it in the morning. I think Grab is consolidating here. I think they need to have a massive earnings. And once they do, then it's going to be fine. If you're looking for a big bear AI type of run, a circle type of run, you're not going to get it. And you should probably just go to something else. But if you want a fundamental company that's trading at 50% cash, that over the long term should be a multi-bagger in terms of how it compounds with the regional consolidation outside of the United States, then this would be a name to get excited for. But not really a mover that, or not a stock that moves as aggressively. Also, the float's big, right? So it's not going to move as crazy. It's like a big bear AI or some of these other stocks. I don't think there was any specific bearish news on CoreWeave today. I think it was just people taking profits. I can do a quick search right here, but I didn't see any specific things on CoreWeave. Yeah, there's nothing specific on CoreWeave. A lot of it's technicals, and a lot of it's just people did not like the Cores acquisition. The real question I'm thinking about is why the hell did CrowdStrike and Palo Alto get hit as bad as they got hit? And if anyone has a reason, let me know. But yeah, I'm looking at my search right now. All I see is like one downgrade from one firm, but that wasn't, I don't know if that's enough to take the entire sector down on cybersecurity. Grab is boring. That is correct. Grab is boring. That's why I wrote my 20-page thesis on Google Docs, and I don't really cover it on the day-to-day, even though there's some news here and there that we talk about. But any of the day-to-day news is not going to move the stock. They need earnings growth. They're an undervalued gem in the market to me, but it's not going to be one of those BMNRs that 20X's on you in a day. But I can also kind of confidently say Grab's not going to go down 70% in 2 days either, right? So it depends on your risk appetite here. But long term, I think the earnings growth is going to be pretty aggressive. AMD right here, 144, S&P 625, NVIDIA 163, Tesla still moving a little bit after hours, 310.50 right now. Just bought OpenAI on Robinhood. Okay, so BM, are you in Europe? Because that would be pretty cool if they officially listed the tokens that you can buy, and it's not just the giveaway portion of what they were doing. I imagine you have to be in Europe because there's no way you could do it in the United States because of the accredited investor laws. But yeah, I doubt it's in the United States right here. That's cool, dude. If you can start buying those tokens in Europe, that is pretty cool. That is not too bad. Oh, do we got a Rocket Lab update? Rocket Lab awarded a contract to Bollinger Shipyards to support the build-out of Rocket Lab's ocean landing platform for its Neutron reusable rocket. Rocket Lab after hours, a little bit of a move, about 10 cents, nothing too crazy. Rocket Lab's just been a hell of a stock, dude. Hell of a freaking stock. Absolutely incredible year. You can't yet. Okay, so if you can't yet, they might be rolling it out to some people. Like they might be rolling it out into certain demographics. Or they might be still giving away tokens, which is why people are able to get advantage of it. Yeah, so BM, you might have got your tokens given away to you today versus you buying them specifically. Or they might be beta testing it to some people. But I guess we'll get more details on that going into the end of the year. Rocket Lab 3918, ASTS, this one fell 5% yesterday, 44 today, up about 3.6. This one has been a great stock all year, you know? I mean, I know it's down from like 53, but ASTS year to date, like, dude, no one can complain about this. I mean, 103%. I know a lot of people have been waiting for a dip. I'm waiting for the 30s. I might not ever get it, but this one having a great day as well. SpaceX has not moved in value on Robinhood. Yeah, they probably need to confirm. Remember, the Bloomberg is reporting they got $400 billion valuation, but SpaceX needs to legitimize that. So although shares might be trading at $400 billion in the secondary markets, like until SpaceX officially says our new valuation is $400 billion, there's probably not going to be that much movement on the tokens, at least not yet. Like when the tokens, go worldwide, there would be like instant liquidity and price movement, but probably not in this very, very beta stage of what they're showing off. S&P 500 right here, 625. Let's check back to Levi's. Levi's still up 10%, folks. This was the most bullish news I've seen on earnings. I mean, Delta was a great earnings, but Levi's right here increased the dividend, beat expectations by 70%, and said, we don't really care about tariffs. I mean, pretty incredible. Pretty freaking incredible. Let's get a little bit more coverage on Apple, and then we'll keep going from there.
At least be talking about it, right? Maybe it is time after a decade to talk about who's going to be next up. But I think that realistically, with a CFO departing last year, a COO now stepping down this year, you can't just dismantle the executive ranks of an organization this large and not have any meaningful drop off. And I think realistically, for me as a shareholder, letting go of Tim Cook here would be tantamount, would be really good reason for me to be selling the stock. And I think a lot of others would be in the same camp because it's just too much disruption all at once for a company that we've already acknowledged is significantly behind where the wave seems to be going and really needs to be doing something to catch up.
So what is that something? If Walter says that they need disruptive change, more of it, what is that? Is that an acquisition, the likes of which they haven't been comfortable doing in the past? That's disruptive. That is being disruptive to what you're normally used to doing.
I don't even think it's singular acquisition. I think it's several. I think that the reason I say that, I know Perplexity is the one that everyone's floating right now, makes perfect sense to replace Siri and be able to come into that Apple ecosystem and immediately make the search conversation a lot more clear. But I think that realistically, not only does Apple need to be acquiring its way into having an AI solution to ChatGPT and Anthropic and everyone else, it also has to acqui-hire designers who are capable of figuring out what's the next wave going to look like. Because as we've heard from several smart brains in Silicon Valley already, the next generation of AI tools is not going to be a device that's in our pocket. It's not going to be a handheld or anything that sits on our desk. It'll be some other kind of wearable. And so figuring out how to bring in the talent capable of driving that conversation is really going to be important for Apple as well. And so I don't think that just one acquisition is going to make it. But at a time when their best mind in AI is already being stolen away, it's really time to put that capital to work and not be trying to financially engineer their way into growth with a $100 billion buyback and thinking that that's going to be the thing that keeps people willing to pay 30 times next year's earnings.
That's the thing about Apple, dude. Their strategy has been, let's buy back the stock and that'll keep us afloat, which is not a horrible strategy. It's just in the most important technological revolution of human history. By the way, Bitcoin right here, 113. It's hard to say you're not going to invest in that. I mean, I mean, they need to take a page out of Zuckerberg. I mean, they have more cash than Zuckerberg at Meta. They could offer all these fancy researchers lots and lots of money. But part of the reason those researchers are probably going to Meta instead is because they have the mission to achieve superintelligence. And a lot of these researchers, yes, they're motivated by money, but they also probably really want to be on the cutting edge of AI. And you would think Apple would be at that cutting edge, but they're not. Now, granted, Apple's also, although Apple is obviously a hardware and a software company, I would say they're more hardware than software because they make the majority of their money from like actually building products. I mean, to an extent, they might have just not seen the software application of AI coming, and they were making so much money off just selling phones and watches and MacBooks that they didn't realize that the phones are going to be irrelevant. It's going to be the question of what you do on your phones, and the actual implementation of software on those phones in an AI native world is going to be where all the money's made, aka the models. And GPT figured that out. Gemini figured that out. Anthropic figured that out. Apple did not. I mean, Amazon and Google figured it out to an extent, and they invested in Anthropic. And there's rumors today going around that Amazon's thinking of putting in another $2 billion. I think they already have about $7 billion invested in Anthropic. So I think from that perspective, it's going to be very interesting to see how Apple navigates this. But I do not think Tim Cook is getting fired. I do not think the board's going to do that. I don't think they're going to do him dirty like that, unless, you know, there really is a new product update over the coming years. But I think with Siri, that will be their main product update. Bitcoin right here, 113.52 after hours. Here's some breaking news on Tesla that we got about an hour ago. Sawyer Merritt, good friend who covers Tesla along with Farzad, he says, breaking, I've confirmed directly with the Arizona Department of Transportation that Tesla reached out to them on June 26th to begin the certification process to operate an autonomous robotaxi service in the state. The quote is, Tesla has applied for both autonomous vehicle testing operating with a driver and testing operating without a driver. A decision on those is expected at the end of the month. They have expressed interest in operating within the Phoenix metro area. So Elon just said yesterday they're getting ready to come to the Bay Area. He said they're expanding the geofencing on robotaxis in Austin. And now you have an official email that he posted right here saying they're coming to Arizona, or at least they're trying to come to Phoenix in the metropolitan area. And he hasn't tweeted about the America Party in 3 days. You put all that together, S&P all-time highs as well. Boom, there you go. Tesla's green. Tesla is green. And now the question is, all right, how bad are earnings going to be? Which, again, I don't think they're going to be that bad because they beat the deliveries expectations, at least the whisper numbers, by a lot. I'm honestly expecting to be relatively flat. Like, I don't think we're going to like 250, 230 like some people think, but I also don't think it has to pump to 350, 370. I think it could be flat, and Tesla could just be staying in this range, which is not the worst idea in the world. It's not going to give some massive return, at least not at these levels. If you bought at 220, you're probably not too upset. But if robotaxi keeps expanding, dude, the hype of that alone, and I don't think it's just retail. I think institutions are looking at these press releases of robotaxi continuing to get more momentum in the face of Waymo expanding as much. And they're saying, all right, if we think Tesla's better than Waymo and they're expanding, and we know Waymo's expanding, but we know that Waymo at the end of the day doesn't have the goods like Tesla has if they can actually pull it off. All right, we're going to buy Tesla. We're going to buy Tesla. Dude, imagine if Elon became this. Dude, imagine this timeline. Imagine if freaking Apple bought Tesla in 2018 because Elon was ready to sell because he almost went bankrupt. And then imagine Elon would have been the CEO of Apple when Tim Cook retired. I mean, what a timeline that would have been. Tesla would have never had the cult following that it has today. Tesla would have never had the 20x returns that it gave to shareholders who bought around 2018, 2019. I mean, I don't even know if Tesla would have become what it became, because if it was huddled underneath Apple. Tim Cook did not take the phone call. Tim Cook did not take. Elon has talked about this. Tim Cook did not answer to take the meeting. Elon was desperate at the time. He was absolutely desperate. It was a really bad time for Tesla. Tim Cook did not take the phone call. And that's another question. Like, they spent $10 billion working on an EV project that they scrapped last year, but they chose not to partner with Tesla. And it's those types of strategic mistakes that I think are defining kind of what people think about Tim Cook as a CEO. Amit, I know the first day of robotaxi was $420. Do you know the price per mile now? The $420 was a joke. That was not a real price per mile. I don't know what the current price per mile is right now, but I still think it might be $420 to an extent. Or maybe, was that a one-day thing? We got to get some of these influencers who are at the event to post pictures of the price per mile now, because I think $420 was kind of the inaugural, hey, it's just like, you know, we're not going to make any money off this, but we want people to practice the rides. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it's still $420, because it's still very in beta mode. I mean, I think they have less than a couple hundred people that have access to it. So yeah, it's still $420 per ride, right? Yeah, I don't think they've actually developed an algorithm that figures out pricing yet, because it's just not there. Oh, it's $420 each ride, not per mile. Oh, wow. Still $420. Okay, so it's a flat $420 then. They're not making money on this. They just want to get people in these and get some experience on the rides. Yes, other people besides the influencers have taken a robotaxi ride. They've been slowly giving out the invites, but the majority in the past couple of weeks have been like the Farzads and the Sawyer Merritts of the world. But I think it is going to start slowly expanding a lot more. Yeah, it was per ride. It was per ride, not per mile. If they get that cost per mile down below Uber's cost, and then, Kathy Wood says if they can get that down to $1 a mile, the numbers, if you believe her expectations, look pretty aggressive. And, as a Tesla shareholder, that is the bull case that you're betting on. The question is just, can they execute against those numbers and get them there? Okay, we got financials next week. Let's get a little bit of an update right here. Financials start earnings on Monday. Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup. Let's see what the street is thinking in regards on how financials could perform.
Yeah, they're cheap. I think that deregulation is totally underappreciated. We had really good stress tests a couple of weeks ago. You're going to see more buybacks, more dividend increases. We're going to see a reduction in the SLR ratios. We are also going to see the Basel III endgame come to fruition. All this means is that there's more capital for the banks to buy back stocks, increase dividends, and most importantly, lend. And I do think the quarters are going to be good next week, John. And I think you're going to see an uptick in M&A, capital markets, and we're going to see an improvement in net interest income. And so the one name that I've been buying has been Truist, because it's trading at 1x book with a 4.5% dividend yield.
I love Truist, TFC. I don't own it anymore, but it was one of the first stocks I bought options on. I bought call debit spreads on it. It's kind of the stock I used to learn about a call debit spread, because Truist's fair value theoretically at the time should have been 42. Silicon Valley Bank happened. It went to 27, 11-year low. Mean reversion play, bought a 30 call, sold a 45 call on top of it. Got it for like $2. It's 7x. So that stock will always have a space in my heart. But one of the things Truist did last year is that they got rid of all their student loans. And they completely cleaned up their books. A lot of these banks really made some strategic moves. We know JP Morgan and Bank of America raised their dividend, and JP Morgan issued a $50 billion buyback 2 days ago. So I think the banks are going to crush. And when they crush, it's left to tech and retailers. And if they crush as well, we're going to have a good Q2.
Okay, now let's talk housing. The construction ETF's on pace for its best weekly gain since mid-January, but still down for the year, off 22% from its 52-week high. How are you playing the space?
Yeah, so I own D.R. Horton, and I like D.R. Horton because they have a lot of exposure to the first-time buyer. That's about 57% of their mix. I also think they have a favorable geographic mix in the Southeast and the South Central. That's about 52% of the mix. Numbers are already de-risked. Last quarter, they lowered numbers on deliveries, gross margins, and I think they could probably do $11 a share this year, $12 next, and they're buying back about $4 billion of stock, which is 11% market cap, and the stock trades at 11 times forward estimates. Really cheap.
Yeah, interesting, especially in a week where the ITB is up something like 5% so far. We've seen that renewed trade higher here. Finally, let's talk industrials. It's the top sector of the year for the S&P so far. It's up 14%. It had another record high today. Stephanie, you and I have been talking about industrials for years. You still like them?
I do still like them, and I actually bought a little bit of Vertiv today on the news that AWS was building out a liquid cooling system, which I do not think is a threat to Vertiv, because I do think that they have size and scale.
Vertiv was down 14%. It ended down about 6%. So Street kind of started buying that dip basically at around 1:30 p.m. today.
And they have the complete end-to-end operation. The stock is down about 25% from its high. They're going to grow mid-teens revenue growth, 25% earnings growth, and margins are going to expand. They're going to outgrow the industry by 3 to 5%. I still think you want to stay on this AI data center power grid theme and buy on the dips. And then I like aviation. You know, you and I talked about Boeing in January. It was my favorite idea for the year out of every stock. And I think it's really starting to work now. A lot of momentum. Deliveries yesterday we got for the second quarter, the best since 2018. That means free cash flow is going higher. It's negative $2 billion today. I think it gets to $12 billion by 2027, and the stock is trading at 24 times price to free cash flow. Historically, it has traded at 36 times.
Yeah, that was a good call. I mean,
so Vertiv right there, again, getting a little bit of recovery. At the lows, it was at 110, currently right now 120. So if you bought anywhere near that 10 a.m., 10:30 time, you did have a bit of a move right here. That was not too bad. Again, this is the Rocket Lab news. We covered it about 20 minutes ago, but there it is. Awarded a contract to the Bollinger Shipyards to support the build out of Rocket Lab's ocean landing platform for its Neutron reusable rocket. Stock not really reacting after hours, but overall, the potential of a Neutron launch this year. Sir Peter Beck did say last week there is a shot by the end of 2025, if not probably most likely 2026. But if they pull it off, that would be fun. That would be very fun. Elon just posted Grok 4 is starting to feel like AGI. Okay, Elon is really hyping up Grok 4. Like, I know he tends to hype stuff up, but I mean, he's been the whole day just posting stuff about Grok 4. Here's what he said. That was, someone said, Grok 4 feels like artificial general intelligence. It is clearly not just constructing statistically likely connections, but is drawing fairly deep insights on problems it hasn't seen before in ways that I haven't seen anywhere else. Elon says, that is how I felt when I was asking Grok 4 questions about materials science that are not in any books or on the internet. All right, so Elon's saying, I mean, we're going to get the benchmark results pretty soon. So far, some of the independent studies have said Grok 4 outperforms GPT, not by a crazy amount, but by a good amount. And more usage of it, I think, is going to confirm if this is the best model that is going to win. So there you go. He tweeted an example right here. What's the example? Let's see. Please analyze the paper on the verse calculus at this PDF. Okay, and then it gives you an explanation. You guys see this, right? Yeah, an explanation on verse calculus. Well, this is I mean, dude, mathematics and physics, which is what Elon was talking about a lot last night. That seems to be one of the major use cases. I mean, they kept saying like physics, science, all this stuff, like they're really trying to get to these high level problems. And maybe that is going to be kind of the core argument that justifies why this model is just better than everything else. So there you go. Rocket Lab, I bought because of fun, 1,100 shares, and I'm up like 89%. Yeah, dude, I bought 2,100 shares at like 22, and realistically, I bought it just, I don't know, it dipped. I was like, all right, let me hold on to it. This is, a name that I think one day will be up there with the SpaceXs of the world. And even if it's not, it's still going to be a pretty damn big company from where it is today. What's Rocket Lab's market cap? 20 billion. I did not expect it to make this move this year. Fundamentals, dude, it's less than a $20 billion company. And look, I know it's expensive on a price to sales perspective, but the potential is what you're buying with Rocket Lab. And they have been executing ruthlessly against that potential. And if SpaceX gets to be 400 billion, Rocket Lab doesn't have to be 400 billion to give you a great return. It can go to 100 billion, which is, 1/4 of SpaceX's valuation, and still be a 5x from these levels. Like the risk return, like if I was offered like SpaceX in the private market, if I had 100,000 that I had to invest in space and someone said SpaceX at 400 or Rocket Lab at $40, it's obvious I'm buying Rocket Lab. Like I'm not going to buy SpaceX at 400 billion just for it to go public at like 700 billion. And then for me to have some, like, I'd rather just buy it on the public markets when it goes public. I'd rather allocate the capital to Rocket Lab at these levels, given it's such a smaller company. This is why when people said, oh, why are you investing in Figure versus Tesla? I'm like, dude, at the time, I think Tesla was like 270. Let's just call it 300, 285 to 300. That's what it was at the time. Basically a $1 trillion market cap. Figure, when I invested, was a $2 billion market cap, $2 billion valuation. So it's like it's a no-brainer. Like as much as I love Tesla, it's like, wait a second, like this thing just has to go up. If it goes to 4 billion, I double my money. Tesla's got to go to 2 trillion to double your money. So sometimes, if you're not early into some of these big names, the best way to really get alpha is to get early into the names that could be not even as big as those names, but somewhat as big. And that would help. Yeah, Rocket Lab, 42 times sales, dude. Rocket Lab is an expensive stock. Palantir trades at 100 times sales. I mean, I don't know that many stocks that trade. What is Shopify? Shopify usually is expensive. What are their stocks trade at 40 times sales? Shopify's at 15. Put some expensive stocks in the chat. Let's take a look at some of these price to sales. Let me open up Webull because Webull shows this. Let's take a look. Are Rocket Lab and Palantir really the most expensive price to sales companies on the market? And remember, price to sales is different than earnings. Earnings is like, people can put a multiple on earnings because it's profit, it's net income. Sales is revenue. It's not profit. It's just like what the company grosses in revenue. Like imagine paying 40 times sales on Amazon. Amazon is like 700 billion in revenue. Like it wouldn't make any sense, right? This is why most investors use PE versus PS to determine what price they want to pay. But when people really want to get exposure to a stock, they might say, screw it, I don't care. And they're going to pay whatever price of sales. And that's when you know it's an aggressive multiple on a name. Tesla, what is Tesla's price to sales? Tesla, it's only 10. Tesla's only 10. Yeah, Tesla only does 100 billion in revenue every year. So that's yeah, so it's a trillion. So it's 10. Costco is 1.6. Costco obviously is not going to have a big one. Mercado Libre, that is 5.4. That's not crazy. Oh, ASTS is ridiculous, bro. You're right. ASTS is, I think it's like 3,000. What is it? ASTS is price to sales of, where is it? It's hiding right. Oh, 3,096. 3,096 on ASTS. So okay, that one beat Rocket Lab. That one beat Rocket Lab. CrowdStrike's also kind of expensive. I think it's 29.3 on CrowdStrike. Hims is cheap, 6. Hims is not crazy at all. AMD is 8.4. Duolingo is 22, of course. Duolingo's an expensive one. Oklo doesn't even have one because they don't have any revenue. SoFi, I don't think is crazy. SoFi is 8. Okay, for a bank, that's a bit aggressive. Obviously, if you think of SoFi as more than a bank and they're growing faster than a traditional bank, you'd be paying a higher multiple. But SoFi is there at 8. Hoodie, I think, is 25. Hoodie is 26.7. Palantir, we all know. Palantir is at 107. NVIDIA, BMNR doesn't have one. NVIDIA is at 26, which is not crazy because NVIDIA is freaking growing 70%. UNH has got to be really cheap. UNH is, dude, UNH is 0.65. Come on, bro. This thing is cheap. This thing is cheap, but there's headline risks, but this thing is cheap. Does BMNR have one? I don't think they do. No, they do. 17. Okay, yeah, well, they do still have revenue technically because they're a Bitcoin miner. 17, which is, pretty up there. SMCI 1.3. It's not a lot. Granted, their margins are also 11%, so that's the knock on SMCI, but their growth is pretty phenomenal. Circle is 78. Okay. So we need to make a list of this. Let's make a list. All right, let's make a watch list of high price to sales names, and let's see how they perform towards the end of the year. Okay, high. Make another one. We'll put Palantir here, Rocket Lab. Okay, let me name a new one. High P price to sales. High PS. High PS. Okay, so Palantir, Rocket Lab, Circle, and Crowd. I think above 30, you make the list. I think that's reasonable. Above 30. Carvana is at 5. That's nothing. QBTS, the quantum name, this one's got to be aggressive. Quantum, this was 218. Okay, so we'll put quantum. We'll put QBTS on the list. ASTS, we got to put on this list. Snowflake is at 18. That's not that crazy. Oscar's PS is 0.47. Yes, Oscar is cheap. I've said this every single day. Oscar is cheap. The problem is the healthcare ACA stuff. And I don't even know if it's that much of a problem. I'm just not that educated on it, but that is the sort of headline risk. The numbers are not bad for Oscar at all. I mean, they could grow 0% for the next 5 years and still be deeply undervalued. But, it's also about the narrative, and it's also about, hey, how much money are they really getting from the ACA, which you got to go deeper to understand that. Cloudflare, that is at 35. Okay, that's expensive. We're going to put that on the list. I think above 30 is reasonably expensive. Rigetti, the quantum names, 405. Holy crap. Okay, so we'll put Rigetti up there. Archer is probably also aggressive. Archer doesn't have any revenue. MicroStrategy, this one's got to be crazy. MicroStrategy is at 244. But again, MSTR doesn't really trade off conventional metrics, but yeah, we'll put them there. What else? What are some other big names, bro? CoreWeave. Yeah, CoreWeave's got to be above 30, I would say. CoreWeave's at 34. Okay, just made the cut. We'll put CoreWeave there. Big Bear AI, I would imagine, is above. Big Bear is at, well, Big Bear is at 12. Not, well, it's still a $2 billion company. Not crazy. 12 is up there, but it's not crazy. Tesla again that's at 10. Amazon's at 3. Dude, Amazon's at 3.6. Coinbase is at 14. CleanSpark's at 6. SBET's at 3. MP Materials at 34 as of today. ARM's probably very high. ARM is at 39. Okay, we'll put ARM on the list. Grab should definitely be up there because Grab is at what? No, Grab's at 7. Their earnings their PE is like 400 on the earnings, but yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, Grab's going to do $4 billion in revenue. Market cap's $20 billion. They have $8 billion in cash. So actually, their price of sales is not aggressive at all. Their earnings are because they don't make a lot of profit, but PS is not crazy. Reddit's at like 40, right? Reddit's at 18. It was at 40 back when it was at like 214 in January. Iren, that one is at 10. That one's not too crazy. VG is probably not aggressive. VG is at like 6, yeah. DJT is at 1137. Dude, DJT is still 7 million people trade this thing every day. DJT. We'll add that to the list. That one gets a ton of volume every day. Datadog. These guys just got into the S&P. Datadog, they're at 16. Axon, I don't think is that high. Axon's at 25. That's high, but not crazy. AppLovin, I feel like is high, but I don't know. AppLovin, 22. Okay, not that crazy, but it's up there. The point is, there are some pretty aggressive names in the market from a price to sales perspective, and Rocket Lab's up there, dude. But still, the stock has returned very well for shareholders this year. Rocket Lab right there, 39.11 after hours. Tessie 142 on Palantir, NVIDIA 164, Tessie 310, and then Robinhood 98.93 after hours. Microsoft, you've probably seen some headlines on Microsoft saving a ton of money based on AI and layoffs. Here's one of the Microsoft presidents talking about the recent momentum they've seen on their margins.
Spending on education collaboration, on an AI think tank. On education, Smith said it's important to respect the way AI changes the classroom.
It's one thing to say, don't worry about students cheating. Let's figure out how to equip students with these AI skills. That's sort of an easy thing for a tech company to say. And personally, I believe that that will advance much more than hinder education. But a closely related question is just, in my view, starting to get the attention it deserves. How do we help people use AI to think more, not less? How do we help them think about when to start using it as a tool and when to stop?
He said AI isn't yet driving significant layoffs either at Microsoft or across the industry, but having the right AI skills can get you hired.
So again, they've been making these arguments around all these forms of AI productivity. This one was particular to education. Microsoft, again, it's been about 9,000 people in the past 2 months that have been laid off from the company. That's also part of the reason, folks, why Microsoft's hitting all-time highs. I mean, the street's thinking that there's going to be a decent chunk of earnings margin enhancement, at least on their net income margins, because their cost of labor is going down because they're having less people. And theoretically, they should be more productive with the AI versus the actual employees if that AI is, for example, coding up about 30% of every piece of code that's written at the company. So, I mean, I don't know, dude. I think Microsoft's my sleeper for a Mag 7 that's going to really have a good earnings. The street's upgrading it across the board at 600. That's a good question. What stock in the Mag 7, so there's 7 choices, do you think will have the best post-earnings return? So let's assume all of them, because earnings are in about a week, are at these prices. So let's put up the Mag 7 watch list. Google, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Apple, NVIDIA. Apple's at 212, Amazon 223, Tesla 310, NVIDIA 164, Google 177, Meta 727, Microsoft. What do we think is going to have the best return after earnings? You can only pick one. Oracle's a good answer. Oracle's a good answer. How is Microsoft a sleeper if it's at all-time highs? Well, I think that's my point. I think that it's done so well, so people are thinking it can't do better. And I think Azure is going to be even better than what people are expecting. And I mean, I don't know, if you have that many layoffs, they're probably going to get some level of margin expansion across the board, or at least guide for more margin expansion in Q3. And that might take the stock higher. Dude, I wish YouTube would let us do a poll with multiple freaking options. They only let us do 4. Okay, I'm gonna look at, by the way, 57% of you said Tim Cook should be fired. I'm gonna look at the chat and try to guess the top 4 and then make that my poll. So which outperforms the most on earnings? I definitely see Google in the chat. So I'm gonna put Google. I don't see Apple. I see a decent amount of NVIDIA. I see Meta. So the last one's Amazon. I see some Teslas, but I see more Amazon. So let's do that. All right, here you go. Which of these 4 are going to outperform the most on earnings? I think you guys are going to pick Google. I think you guys are going to pick Google. ChatGPT said NVIDIA. Wow, 50% of you say Google. You guys love you some Sundar, huh? You guys love you some Sundar. Amid constantly Google stuff on stream. That's fair. That's fair, dude. Those AI overviews are legit, bro. I've been using it even more, even off stream. Like when I have a question, I've kind of seen myself going to Google over ChatGPT or Grok, because I'm like, I need the answer. I go to Grok for like operational tasks, like, hey, summarize this for me. But I go to Google for like answers. Like, how do you say scarce, you know? So it's more Googs. 32% NVIDIA, 19% Meta, 14% Amazon, 50% for the Googs. Crunch, thank you for the $5 super chat. On drone demand, Tesla is alone in manufacturing capabilities and design innovation hit by their suppliers. That is true, but Tesla's not really making drones, right? Has Elon talked about that? I mean, from my understanding, Tesla doesn't make drones. If they got into that business, I don't think that would be crazy. Now, granted, it's always a tricky thing because Elon has said publicly he does not want Optimus to be implemented into the military. Like he has publicly said, I do not want Optimus. Like I don't want humanoid robots in the military. Now, maybe he's changed his mind on that, but I don't know if he would be getting into that drone manufacturing business, even if there was a market opportunity there. I don't think the street would hate it though. Robots are drones. Okay, well, I'm talking about like, the other types of drones, not just like a general phrase for drones, but yeah, I don't think he would necessarily be eager to get into it right there. Yeah, you guys are saying Google. Wait, hold on. Now it's 34% NVIDIA. Hold on, that 50% just switched. Wait a second. All right, the NVIDIA bulls came in. They said, nope, we're taking NVIDIA. NVIDIA third. I would pick NVIDIA over Google. I know NVIDIA's at all-time highs, but I'm taking NVIDIA. I love Googs. I hope it goes up. I have Google, but I don't know. I think NVIDIA's going to crush it. I think they will. But if Google goes up, I won't be mad. I will not be mad. Who knows though? Maybe we're going to buy Google before earnings. I'm telling myself I'm not going to do it, but maybe last time we did it literally 30 seconds before earnings, and it worked. We got it at like 157. But still. Thoughts on Walmart? I mean, I wouldn't buy Walmart, but it's been a great stock over the past year. And it's one of those names where, given all this growth in the market at AI, I wouldn't put a good chunk of money into Walmart. But it's also a name that's not going to have massive, massive drawdowns like some of these other high-flying tech names. So I don't know, dude. A lot of this comes down to like your age as well and how risk averse you want to be. Like I was talking with Adam today. Adam, he'll be on the channel next week, and Adam has started to do a lot of consultations for people and around option selling. And a woman came to him, I think she's like 65, and she has $1 million. And she was like, hey, like I want to do option selling. I want to allocate this money. And he was like, 90% of it goes into the S&P 500, and with like little bit, you can do some option selling with it. But he was not telling her to like take that $1 million and start selling puts on Tesla. It's like, but now if you're 27 or 23 or 34 and you have 500 grand or something, right? It's a different ball game. So it depends on risk tolerance. But even he was just like, I can't tell someone to sell options if they're near retirement and they have, their life savings, because that's risky. What if the market tanks, right? But if you're in the S&P, like at least you know that you've got something a bit more safe. So my point is, if you're very young, I don't think Walmart's like the most optimal growth strategy to be part of, but it's also not a horrible stock because over the past year, up 34% is not a bad return at all for Walmart. Yeah, 1 million is 50K a year passive income. That is correct. If you're, dude, like, I mean, Adam was talking about it today because, he's getting to that point in life where he has the ability to just like park some money inside of like a treasury and just like, theoretically live off some of those returns. And like when you get to multiple millions and you can just take $1 million and just throw it into a money market fund or something, it's not the worst in the world if you can collect it easy. That's why there's so much money in money market funds, because 4-5%, especially municipals that are very tailored from a tax efficient perspective. A lot of financial advisors love those because like you save a ton on taxes, and 4 to 5% on like 10 million bucks is a decent chunk of money for a client without taking any risk. How do we get there, Mitt? We got to grind. We got to grind. That's how you get there. You got to grind. This is why I love Adam, bro. I mean, this guy he came from very humble beginnings, grew up in New York. He could, his mom could barely afford 2 slices of pizza for him and his sister. But he worked his ass off. So you got to work. You got to work and compound your capital in good companies and just keep it going. I mean, one of the easiest ways to grow a portfolio is to just get more income, right? Because as you can allocate more income, you can get more assets, and then those assets over time increase your exposure. And then as they grow, the portfolio grows. Google right here, 177.50 after hours, and Tesla right there at around 310. Again, this was the major news on NVIDIA after hours. Jensen Huang's going to China in a couple days, and he's meeting with Trump today. I think he needs to get into the White House and tell Mr. Donnie T. First of all, he needs to glaze him. He needs to say that he's the best president ever and he solved all the issues. And although NVIDIA stock is up 47% from the tariff lows, not to mention that Trump kind of, caused NVIDIA to go down that much during those tariff lows, he needs to praise him for the tariffs. And by the way, Trump excluded the semiconductors. So like that's also part of a reason why the tariffs haven't affected NVIDIA. But he needs to forget all that and tell Mr. Donnie T that he is the greatest president of all time. And then he needs to just politely say, China would be really nice if we could get some of that 15 billion back. My investors would love it. You would look amazing if our stock got to 200. I mean, you would be the president of a $5 trillion company, Mr. Donnie T. Don't you think? Like that would be really nice. And then hopefully Trump and his ego can get in the way, and Trump could be like, you know what? That would be very nice. All right, I'll talk to China. Maybe that's how we do it. Yeah, and then he needs to say thank you for your attention to this matter. That's hilarious. He needs to kiss the ring. Exactly. He needs to kiss the ring. Yeah, Adam will be on next week. He'll be on next Thursday. Amit, do you have anything on when covered calls are good to sell, or what percentage of position you should sell covered calls on? So we talked about this a lot this whole year. I think it's about your risk tolerance. So like if you have 1,000 shares of Hood and you want to manage covered calls every week, you could sell 10 covered calls. If you want to do 70% covered calls and 30% leave the shares, then you sell 7, leave 3 open. When it comes to selling covered calls, it's usually when the stock is green, like today. Today would be a great day to sell covered calls. But also it's a question of where you think the catalysts are going. So my covered calls have been rolled on Hood into the future, into the 140s, 150s, because I think it's now becoming parabolic with S&P inclusion coming up. Doesn't mean I'm right. It could take a pullback. But I don't even want to try to yield the premium in between 98 and 105 or whatever, because I think it's going higher. So if you think a stock is going to be a bit more range bound, like a Palantir, for example, that's already at a very aggressive multiple, and maybe it's not going to hit 150 or 160, given it's already at 142, and that's all-time highs, then you could be a little bit more conservative there, maybe 150 covered calls or 155. So it's really based on what your risk tolerance is, how much of the position you want to potentially risk. And then knowing the ins and outs of what happens if you get stuck in a position and you're underwater, how can you roll it? And all this stuff, again, if you ask ChatGPT and Grok and just be like, hey, tell me every single thing that can happen if I sell a covered call at this price, it will give you so many scenarios, so much information that, when people say, oh, I don't know what to do, it's like, have you even asked Grok? Like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? Like there is a supercomputer in your pocket for free. And you can just say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Help me out. And it will give you as many solutions as possible, an infinite number of solutions to try to resolve what's happening, or at least get you to understand what's happening. So realistically, I think these questions in combination with AI just give you so many simulations, and then you take those actions as you're trading them. I mean, I do that, dude. I do that. I ask Grok every day about different option strategies and stuff. And it gives great answers, and you really get to go in depth on it. Is Bitcoin trying to get 114? Where's BTC? Wow. That's another all-time high. 113,897. We're just below 113,775. This would be very fun if we could see 114. This would be very fun. Do you tend to sell only short term? Yeah, I like doing the weeklies, but obviously if I think a stock's going to run, then I go out. But I think a month is fine as well. It's just like there's so much news every day in this market that I think you kind of want to monitor it every week. But if you don't want to deal with the pressure, then you just, if you don't want to deal with having to look at your portfolio every single day, then you do it per month. But I tend to do it on the weeklies. Jensen needs to tell Trump he'll invest in DJT. Yes. Oh boy, do we have a Robinhood news? Robinhood's crypto trading promotions probed by Florida Attorney General. Oh boy, is the stock tanking? We are about to see in real time if that headline tanks the stock. 98.81. What is Florida upset about, bro? Oh my gosh. Florida Robinhood. What are they upset about? Who is this? The Attorney General of Florida says crypto is a vital component of Florida's financial future, and President Trump's efforts to advance the crypto market will make America stronger and wealthier. When consumers buy and sell crypto assets, they deserve transparency. Robinhood has long claimed to be the best bargain, but we believe those representatives were deceptive. Oh, goodness gracious, bro. Give me a break. Yeah, there's the red candle. There's the red candle. Give me a break, bro. They're saying Robinhood charging a spread or not showing the spread is deceptive. They're saying old documents relating to Robinhood's claim that trade crypto at the lowest cost on average is deceptive. If this is what gives us a dip back into the 80s, be my guest, bro. Be my guest. I mean, stock's really not moving that hard on this. It's down like 50 cents. This is stupid. This is a nothing burger, bro. I mean, to me, it's a nothing burger, but obviously, there she goes. All right, now she's falling. She's down about $1. It's a nothing burger to me, but the stock will react to this because it's a headline. It is a headline. They forgot to pay him off. Oh my gosh, dude. If that's the case, dude, why don't they go after every single financial services company that has promised, or not even promised, but like advertised some form of financial mobility on their platform? Crypto is a vital part of Florida's financial future. Robinhood has long claimed to be the best bargain. Robinhood is a cryptocurrency and stock staking platform. Instead of charging commission, Robinhood generates revenue by routing customers' trades. So they're mad at payment for order flow? Really? They're mad at a business model that's been around for 10 years? That's what they're mad about? Yeah, I mean, it's a nothing burger to me, but no, it's a headline. Robinhood's going to have to deal with this. Vlad's going to have to deal with these guys. Florida, huh? Florida really got to do this today. Is Bitcoin still moving? Robinhood now 97.31. Bitcoin. Wow, 114, folks. There she goes. All-time highs. 114 on Bitcoin. Robinhood will be moving up. Oh, wow. 114.5. Wow, she's moving. 114.7. 114.8. Holy, 114.9. Are you about to do 115? 115. Whoa, baby. Whoa, baby. 115. Wow, what whale just stepped in and moved Bitcoin up $1,000? Holy guacamole, 115. Dude, you guys saw that in front of me, right? We literally all saw that. We literally all saw 114.05 or 025. And then it just went up and up and up and up, and we hit every other $100 milestone. and then 115. Dude, who just bought that much Bitcoin? Dude, Twitter must be going crazy right now. Twitter must be going crazy. We didn't even get time to digest that. Dude, Robinhood would be mooning on this if it wasn't for this stupid freaking... Look, Robinhood's trying to go up right now, but this stupid Florida thing just had to come out at the... Dude, that could have pushed Robinhood over 100. That could have put at least closer to like 99.50. Coinbase right here, 393. That's up after hours. MicroStrategy, 426, baby. MSTY, it's got to be loving those option premiums. MSTY, 2170. That's green. Marathon and CleanSpark. Marathon's at 1924. CleanSparks at 1310. HUD 8 Mining, that's at 2230. That's up 4%. Iran, 1714. S&P's at 625. Bitcoin, 115.3. Is she going for 116? It hit 115.7, bro. Holy crap. My goodness. 115. It's about to test it again. Bro, who is buying right now? What's going on? Oh my God, 116. 116 is here. 116.3, 116.5, 116. Are we doing 117? 116.7, 116.8, 116.79, 116.62. Dude, what the hell's going on? What the hell is going on, bro? That's a $5,000 candle, guys. This has got to be a sovereign wealth fund. This is not the ETFs. There's no way. There was that 112 this morning, bro. I don't see 117 yet. It did not hit 117. Webull has 116. Oh no, it did hit 117. It did hit 117. It just I either missed it or it was so quick that I didn't see it. It hit 117, 113, and it's now trying to get back there. Wow, 117, 113. So it hit 117, came all the way back down to 116, then it tried to get back there at 116.7, and then now it's at 116.4, but we hit 117. Yeah, maybe Buffett got some FOMO, bro. Where's Ethereum? Hold on. Where's ETH? ETH is at 2,800. BMNR after hours is still down 2%. SBET after hours is up 3%. Solana's up a little bit. XRP, Bitcoin now back to 115. So you do have that basically $1,500 candle down. But still, 115 is not bad. Where's XRP? XRP is at 252. That's nice. And Bitcoin right there, 115. Yeah, that was a pretty nasty candle back down to 115. But still, dude, it was at 112 like an hour ago. And then it was at 113 30 minutes ago. And then it just jumped to 115 and then 117 and now 115.7. That was pretty crazy to watch in real time, bro. It just like it just kept going up. Like it just kept going higher. Any news on Apple buying Bitcoin? Dude, something's causing this right now. Something's causing this. We got to figure out what's happening. This is not just random people buying. There's no way. You don't have a God candle like that. You don't have a 5,000 candle move because of like retail buying or just people getting on their phones and opening up Robinhood or Coinbase. This has got to be something bigger. This has got to be something bigger. Yeah, the Hood Pro by Florida is annoying, dude. I think it's a nothing burger. That attorney, is this a new attorney general or something? Robinhood's down 1%. It would be like I think Robinhood would be very close to $100 right now if that stupid headline was not hitting the terminal. I mean, dude, Robinhood, there's probably a lot of people technically trading it on Robinhood, not as much as the sovereigns or the institutions, but when Bitcoin makes a move like this, you get a lot of trading volumes. So the stock would have reflected that, but that Florida thing getting it hit after hours. Bitcoin right here, 115.7 right now. It's Tom Lee. It's something, bro. What do you guys think? Like, that's like, we haven't seen a move like that in a long time, bro. Last time we saw a move like that was December 2024 when it went from 89 to 103. This was on December 4th, if I'm not wrong. And it was it broke 100 just like that. And then it just broke 101, 102, 103. And then it came back down to like 95. Then it broke 109 during the inauguration. But we haven't seen a move like this in a minute, bro. The hood news is that the Florida Attorney General is probing Robinhood on unfair, deceptive practices of marketing payment for order flow. That is the news. I'll put the article in the chat for anyone who wants to read it, but I think it's very, very stupid. But regardless, that's what's happening right there. That's why Hood's getting hit. All right, back to 116. Back to 116. I don't think it's Triple V. I don't think it, I mean, Triple V might be able to move it that much, but I don't think it's him. 116.2 on Bitcoin. Look at this candle, bro. My goodness. It was at 113 at 5:15. It went to 117 at 5:20, and we saw that happen in real time. In 5 minutes, it basically moved $4,000, and now it's trying to get back to 117. Oh man, if it can get back to 117, that would be fun. That would be fun. That would be really fun to see if we can get back there. Dude, Hood would be running so much right now. Who is this Florida loser, bro? Florida Attorney General. Who that is? He just trying to get like a political win or something, and that's why he's invested. Like, does he actually care that much about this? Florida Attorney General James Uthamer is his name. When was he elected? I'm the 39th Attorney General for the free state of Florida. When was this guy elected? Let's see. He was, this guy was sworn in 4 months ago, bro. He's trying to get a political win. He's trying to get a political win, dude. He just got sworn in. He's trying to make sure that he gets some level of attention by prosecuting and going after the big evil corporations. I'm sure there's a lot of Robinhood shareholders in Florida that do not care about whatever the hell he's accusing them of. He's the youngest attorney general, maybe because he's an idiot. Maybe. You know what? Everyone's against term age limits now. No, these people need to be 80 years old to get into positions of power. They need to be 80 years old. So we need 80-year-old attorney generals so they don't do anything. That's what we need. We need 90-year-old attorney generals so they don't do anything. We got these young bucks trying to make a name for themselves. This is not what we need. It's not what we need. Ethereum trying to break 3,000. It got to 29.28. Bitcoin right here, 115.9. 115.9. It is not the Jeffrey Epstein prosecutor. That was someone else. That was a different one. That was Alex Acosta, right? He was the Attorney General of Florida back in 2008, if I'm not wrong. Or was it Pam Bondi? It was one of those. Hold on. Who was the Attorney General of Florida in 2008? No, it was Bill McComb. Oh, no, it was Pam Bondi. She was in 2011. Okay, so she was part of that whole thing. I mean, she saw a lot of that stuff happening, but which is why it's kind of weird that now she's the AG of the country and, she's not really disclosing some of this stuff. But Bitcoin right here, 116. Steve still can't talk, guys. Steve still can't talk. I would love if he could call in right now. Like if I call him right now, he's not going to be able to pick up. He's been bad the past couple of days. Hopefully tomorrow on Friday he can join, but he's been getting hit. Bitcoin right here, 115, 970. He must be loving XRP right now, though. I'm going to text him. I'm going to text him XRP right now. XRP moving. We'll see if he responds. I have 500 shares of Misty. Where's XR? Where's Solana? Solana. Let's go to CoinMarketCap. Let's look at all of them together. So let me share this. Okay. So Bitcoin is up 5% in the past 7 days, 2% in the past hour. Solana's at 162. That's up 6. That's up 4% in the past 24 hours. XRP is up 5%. So that one's getting some love. Bitcoin market cap 2.3 trillion. Is that more than Google? Is that more than Google? Yeah, that's more than Google. That's 150 billion more than Googs. Bitcoin surpasses Google. Bitcoin surpasses Google. There you go. There you go. Nothing burger, but saddle up. Hood is a target. Many investigations and lawsuits will be launched. I agree. I think they're using Hood as a scapegoat. They're trying to attack it right here to get a political win. It's sad, but here's what it is, bro. We're gonna have to deal with it. Bitcoin right here, 115.8. 415 million Bitcoin shorts liquidated in 15 minutes. Yeah, dude, hold on. We got to get some data on the liquidations. Let me see if I can find something right here. So liquidations are the sort of technical concept is when you use these perpetual futures contracts that Robinhood has been talking about, and you get leveraged up against Bitcoin, which perpetual futures uniquely exist in the crypto industry. You can buy Bitcoin at like 112 using 50x leverage. And, if Bitcoin moves from 112 to 115, you're moving way more than just that $4,000, $3,000 move. But if you go short Bitcoin with that type of leverage and Bitcoin moves as much as it does, there's going to be some issues. So that could be happening here right now. Yeah, we know Trump is going to be with Jensen today. We talked about that earlier. 415 million worth of Bitcoin shorts liquidated in the past 60 minutes. Let's pull up the order book flow on Bitcoin. Let me show you guys what it looks like. These are real-time orders coming in. Let's see if here it is right here. Boom, there it is. So you guys can see right there, there's your spread at 115.6. Those are all the orders that are coming in from thousands of exchanges across the world trading this asset. Dude, imagine if you bought this shit for $1 10 years ago and you're just looking at it go up and up and up. I mean, this is the greatest performing asset of all time. It's incredible. Over 2 billion of shorts squeezed on Bitcoin, close to 1 billion of shorts squeezed on Ethereum. Wow, that is an aggressive day. Aggressive day. Why would Florida pursue this? Again, this attorney general is like, I think he's bored, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure there's more important things to do in the state of Florida than go after Robinhood. Like, no one can tell me that is the mission that this AG needs to focus on. It's like, no, he's bored. He sees them as an easy target. He's probably has a technical argument that's theoretically correct about Robinhood misleading people on being the best place to buy crypto. But like, is that really worth your time? Seriously? Because then you can get into plenty of counter arguments about how that quote unquote deception led people to get introduced to the markets. And yeah, maybe they don't get the best spread, but they've increased their financial future. Like, there's just so many ways to go back and forth. I mean, Dan Gallagher is going to have a field day with this. He's the chief legal officer at Robinhood. He's probably looking at this case right now thinking that this guy's an absolute idiot. Because Dan Gallagher was a commissioner at the SEC. He actually knows what it means to deal with prosecution for like misleading cases of fraud. Also, why is he doing this in the age of Trump? Like, Trump is supposed to open up, the ecosystem and let people do what they need to do. So the fact that this guy's going after him is just like, it is very anti this administration's approach to crypto. Like, he's not going to go after the Trump meme coin that you can buy, guess what, in Florida. But he's going to, which is an absolute total scam. It's absolute garbage, down 80%. But he's going after Robinhood. I mean, come on, dude. Like, come on. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's stupid. Like, it's stupid. Yes, I'm mad. I'm pissed off. We were talking about this yesterday, right? If you are a investor in a company, now you start to care about this shit. It's like, really? This is what you're going to go after? Like, I'm all for, being skeptical of companies and all that stuff. And I get the judicial system, but just don't be an idiot. Like, really, this is the thing you're going to go after when there's so many more things that are important? And I think it's because of politics. Robinhood right here down about 1.19%. Bitcoin still trying to get back to 117, 116.3. Yes, it is absolutely extreme cope, but you can't tell me that they have such a sophisticated legal argument to go after Robinhood right now. Like, obviously I'm coping here, but I just do not think that this makes a ton of sense. Steve said, I keep telling you XRP is the future. Steve says, I keep telling you XRP is the future. Of course. Let me see if I call him. Let me see. I doubt he's going to pick up, but let's see. Let's try. Let's see. Melania's down 99%. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous that they're doing this, bro. $516. That's a New York area code. I didn't leak his number. That happened last time. 516 in New York. If you want to run the permutations on his phone number, be my guest. I did not leak his number. 516 is New York. Anyone could find that out. Dude, I got to be careful sometimes, bro. Sometimes this shit happens. But yeah, see, he couldn't pick up. He's definitely feeling sick right now. Oh, he said, give me 10. Hold on. He said, give me 10. He said, give me 10. Okay, folks, we might get him in 10 minutes. Yeah, 516-1234. That's his number. Let me check his actual number. Is it really 516? Okay, it's not 516-1234. Okay, good. It's not 516-1234. That would be funny if it was, though. Yeah, dude, Hood would be 100 after hours if it wasn't for this Florida shit. It would be 100 after hours. This is ridiculous, bro. Bitcoin has a $5,000 move after hours, and Hood is down 1%, almost 2%, because of this Florida Attorney General. Florida James Uthamer. This is the guy's name. Well, we still got to figure out why Bitcoin's running, bro. We still have no idea why Bitcoin is running. I mean, who the hell's buying this thing right here, dude? Who's doing it? 116.18. Is it the Saudis? Is it the Chinese? Is it freaking... Is it a corporate? It's running because of Big Beautiful Bill. I mean, is it the United States? Which I don't think they're buying it. I think it's someone else. Yeah, it's short liquidation, but like what was the catalyst to cause that type of a candle to even, begin the liquidation on shorts? Are you guys buying it? Did you guys buy Bitcoin today? Should I sell Coinbase? Well, I mean, look, it depends on obviously your entry price, but I mean, if Bitcoin's making a run like this, Coinbase after hours is doing its thing, dude. Coinbase trying to get back to 400. Look at this, dude. 395 after hours. This would be Robinhood. Robinhood would be touching like 102, 103 after hours. They really put this out right when Bitcoin made one of its biggest moves since January. Unfreaking believable. They're trying to save some covered calls. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to save some covered calls. But Coinbase right here, $5 away from 400. I mean, if Bitcoin's going to 120, 125, I think you hold. I think Coinbase has some fun. MicroStrategy after hours is, wow, 427. There she goes. Misty. Shout out to Misty. I think I'm up on Misty now, like old time. Yeah, I'm like my average is 2156. So now the dividends, including the NAV erosion, I'm still up all time on this one. 116.12 on Bitcoin. Yeah, it's saving your 105 covered calls for this Friday. Dude, we would be bumping so hard. There's no way Hood would be below 100 if they let us freaking just run and didn't worry about Florida. Tess says it's 11:35 and my 3-year-old is refusing to go to bed. That's because he's looking at Bitcoin, trying to get to 117. Dude, that was a crazy candle. We saw it in real time. Hold on, let me pull up the YouTube video. We literally saw this shit happen in real time. Last time we seen this was a while ago. It was back in November of 2024. It was right here. Yeah, literally right here. Okay, here we go. It's going to be a little loud, so watch out. Here it is. This was me like 10 minutes ago. Wow, 114, folks. There she goes. All-time highs, 114 on Bitcoin. Robin will be moving up. Oh, wow, 114.5. Wow, she's moving. 114.7, 114.8. Holy, 114.9. Are you about to do 115? 115. Whoa, baby. Whoa, baby. 115. Wow, what whale just stepped in and moved Bitcoin up a... Dude, that happened in literally 30 seconds. That was less than 30 seconds. Like, holy crap, dude. Goodness gracious. That was an aggressive move. 113 to 117. And right before that is when they announced the Robinhood Florida thing. So there you go. Oh boy. Well, I guess people are going to be speculating for the next 24 hours why the hell we have this type of move on Bitcoin. But until we get those details, we're going to be continuing to just speculate. It came out of the blue. Yeah, that's the crazy. Like we were at all-time highs all day, but it was kind of just consolidating at 113, and then it just broke out. Mukabe says, I have 1,200 shares of Misty yesterday because of your X post, up $700 profit now. Thank you. I'm grateful. Awesome, Mukabe. That's amazing. Just remember that if you sell that right now, you'll make 700. If you keep it and you get maybe $1.20 a share in premium, which I think it'll be a lot more because Bitcoin's running on their next dividend payout, they're going to take away $1.20 from the price. So if you bought it at $21.50 and they give you $1.50 dividend, the stock will go from $21.50 to $20. So it would be down $1.50 on the shares, but you'll get it in the dividend. And then over time, as you reinvest it, et cetera, that's how kind of the yield max strategy works out. You will be up, including NAV erosion. But if you want to take the quick 700 and run, you could take the quick 700 and run. But people can trade Misty even if you don't care about the dividend. And $700 in a day is not a bad return at all. Let's see if I can pull this up right here. Bitcoin 116. Robinhood's at 97 again. They got hit. Trump, let me see if Trump tweeted. Robinhood got that Florida AG thing. Oh, Trump just tweeted something. Oh, what is this? Okay, I am pleased to announce that Nick Adams will be nominated as the next U.S. ambassador to Malaysia. Nick is an incredible patriot and very successful entrepreneur whose love and devotion to our great country is an inspiration. Nick is a best-selling author, speaker, and commentator. Nick graduated from the University of Sydney and since then has made it his life's mission to extol the virtues of American greatness. Congratulations, Nick. Okay, I don't know who Nick Adams is. Trump nominates self-described alpha male influencer Nick Adams to ambassador of Malaysia. Who the hell is this guy? Does anyone know who this guy is? Has anyone heard of this guy? Who is this guy? NVIDIA, by the way, 43% on which one outperforms the most on earnings. Who is Nick Adams, bro? This time, I'm not the guy who doesn't know who the person is. I think all of us are like, who the heck is this guy? A right-wing influencer known for his bombastic posts about his devotion to the president and trips on being an alpha male. I've never heard of this guy, ever. Okay. Ambassador to Malaysia. Nick Adams. Hood down 3%. Yeah, dude. For those that are just joining, it's this freaking Florida AG. Well, there you go. Dude, he's hilarious. I've never seen this guy. I'll try to look into him today, but I've never seen this guy. Mukabe, thank you for the 10 gifted. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the gifted 10 memberships. 10 of you guys just got some memberships as per Mukabe in the chat. Yeah, 10 of you guys just randomly got some of these memberships. Thank you, Mukabe. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being part of the show and being part of the channel. 96 and dropping on Hoodie. 96 and dropping. It's annoying, bro. It's so annoying. I mean, I wonder where they take this tomorrow. Because tomorrow, if it opens up and people actually sell it because of this Florida thing, and that could happen, right? I mean, like, look, no one wants to be involved in a lawsuit. And who knows how big this gets? I doubt it's going to be anything that important, but who knows? Maybe this thing is what people they just don't want to be part of it. They buy Coinbase instead. I mean, that could happen. That could easily happen. Yeah, I am going to Florida. I should give this guy a piece of my mind, bro. Florida Attorney General. Goodness gracious, bro. There's nothing better to do in Florida than prosecute Robinhood. Really? Really, dude? Gotta be kidding me, dude. That's what happens when you become an investor. Is what we talked about yesterday. You become passionate about your investments. You have your net worth tied to these names. And, you start caring about. This is also the thing. See, this is the other thing that makes people develop a sense of autonomy and personal accountability. Because I invested in Robinhood. As much as I'm being hyperbolic and blaming the Florida AG, at the end of the day, if it goes down, it's on me. If it goes up, it's on me. I get the blame and I get the gains. So that level of accountability, it just teaches you to, to really be intertwined with your investments. And that creates a purpose as well to try to figure out how to advance your own economic situation with dealing with all the different uncertain things that could happen. 116.5 right here on Bitcoin. Steve is not called yet. I have my phone ready for when he does call. Ethereum, are we trying to get to 3,000? Ethereum, 29.65. 29.65. I sold 300 shares of Hood at 98.70 today. 40 grand will buy back if it goes under 90. Hey, I mean, look, not a bad sell based on this Florida thing. Not a bad sell. Okay, so we are very close to 3,000. It got to 2,985. BMNR, is that running after hours? Okay, BMNR is up after hours, so that's moving. SBET's probably up after hours, 7%. That's moving. And then BTBT is up 5%. So all the Ethereum treasuries are making a bit of a move after hours, as Ethereum is very, very close to 3K. Tom Lee says 10,000 by the end of the cycle. So, I mean, he's bullish. He's bullish. Why are they suing Robinhood? Deceptive practices of being the quote-unquote best platform for the lowest prices to buy crypto on. That is their argument. Vlad is not posted. Vlad's not going to post about this until he talks with the lawyers, bro. Now, if I was Vlad, I would quote tweet the Florida AG. And I would be like, hey, why don't you focus on the Epstein documents first, buddy? But, I'm not the CEO of a $90 billion company, so it's probably not the smartest thing to do. But it's so stupid, bro. It's so freaking stupid. I'm curious what their case is, too. I want to read the legal documents. I want to see what their case is and what they're trying. Like, do they want a fine? Does he want a parking ticket from Robinhood? Do they have to pay $40 million to get this guy to move on? That's probably what it's going to be. Yes. I need to go to McDonald's because apparently, I need some more salt on my fries right now. Like, I'm salty. Like, how much of a parking ticket do they need to pay to get the hell out of this? Last time they paid $40 million. That's why I said 40. I don't even know. I think it was to Boston. It's the feds. They paid $40 million. I think it was 2 quarters ago. Actually, I think it was 80 million, 85 million. No, I think it was in Q1. Regardless, Robinhood's no stranger to paying parking tickets. Ethereum right here, 29.46. Bitcoin tried to get to 117 again, but kind of stuck at 116 here. Should Circle be up like Coinbase? I mean, the whole crypto sector pumping, I don't think it should be up like Coinbase, but you would think it would be a little bit more green. It's flat after hours, nothing crazy. I don't know. Does Bitcoin going up really help Circle? I mean, it helps crypto enthusiasm, but I don't think that it helps like the stablecoin ecosystem necessarily. Amit, may I have one of those free memberships? It is not up to me. It is very random from YouTube. So YouTube will randomly give you a membership. But if you don't become a member, don't worry. You don't get anything if you're a member. It just supports the channel for $5 a month. But yeah, it's not like the channel members get something like super special or anything like that. It's just to support the channel. But YouTube will randomly give it out whenever someone gives them. When I try to make a fast purchase on Robinhood, it makes me pay way more than I should. If I'm about to buy back out of the final screen and then make a purchase, I buy it at the price listed. Okay, so there's a couple things here. I've heard this, critique by people before. Number one, you set a limit order, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, like this is not unique to Robinhood. If you're on Schwab or Fidelity, maybe the spreads are a little bit better. But if you buy a market order, it's just rerouting to a market maker that's going to try to get you filled at whatever price. And that price might be a little higher for speed, convenience, extra momentum on the spread of the profit for the market maker, which is the entire business model of the Citadels and Jane Street. So if you want to get American Airlines at 1165 instead of 1170 and the stock's at 1168, you set a limit order at 1165. You will only get filled at 1165. So I've never really understood why people get that upset. Now, if you're trying to buy it in a hurry, that's on you. That's because of whatever reason you want to, buy the stock at. So I don't think that's necessarily the biggest critique of Robinhood. Number two is on crypto. I agree. The spread was egregious a couple of years ago, but they made the spread better. Number one. Number two, they've created smart order routing. All you have to do is click smart order routing and you pay a little bit of a higher fee, which is still significantly lower than Coinbase. It's like 0.7%. Coinbase is at like 1.75. And then you get almost like within pennies of the actual Bitcoin. And I know this because I bought $500 worth of Bitcoin when the Iran-Israel stuff was happening. And I did a smart exchange routing. That's the button you press. And then I got my Bitcoin at like 94.5 on the dot. So I don't know. I don't think those arguments are the craziest thing in the world to make. 116.4 right here on Bitcoin. Now, but I do get the argument right there that like, hey, other brokerages like IBKR, Schwab, et cetera, they have a better algorithm on the spreads. I get that. That doesn't mean that like you prosecute Robinhood. Like, okay, yes, they may have a better algorithm on getting you, and that's up to consumers. If you like IBKR's algorithm, then you trade on IBKR. Don't go to Robinhood, right? You know, but like that doesn't mean Robinhood's deceptive and you have to prosecute them because there's some horrible. Like I just, it's a bit of a stretch right there. But I guess it's, you know, we're gonna have to kind of figure out how Florida ultimately puts out their argument. 116.5 on Bitcoin. It's trying again for 117. It's trying again for 117. Steve said he's going to call in 2 minutes. Steve said he'll be here in 2 minutes. $116.6. It's still trying. Let's see. No news on Amazon after hours. Yes, him short float. I did see that. It's 38%. It's almost 40%. The shorts are doubling down on Hims right here. Oh, ETH. Did we got it? Did it touch it? It touched it. 3K. There you go on ETH. There you go on ETH. We touched it. 3,000 on Ethereum. 3,000. There she goes. There she goes. 2,970. Okay, it got hit at 3,000 pretty quickly, but it was like a millisecond. Hopefully it breaks back above that. But still. $29.60. This was all because of Tom Lee. 100%. This is all because of Tom Lee. All because of Tom Lee. Bitmine up 7% after hours. That one getting some love. SBET up 8%. BTBT up 4%. And then Bitcoin still trying for 117. Not there yet. Ethereum got rejected right at 3,003. Bitcoin right now trying for 117. I still have no reason why Bitcoin's moving. Still have no reason. I'm probably getting tagged like crazy on Twitter about Robinhood. I'll try to figure out as much as I can by tomorrow about this AG probe as well. But that is what's getting it down 1%. Robinhood's recovering a little bit after hours. Little bit. It was down 3. Now it's down 1.8. But I think tomorrow's going to drop, dude. Whenever you get a headline like this, I think it'll be a nothing burger in the coming months. But I think we will see a little bit of a dip. These headlines, you know, when money managers see this, they just want to get the hell out. They don't even want it. Their job is to mitigate risk. And when you bring in a lawsuit, it opens up risk and they kind of just head for the exits at that point. So we could see that playing out. All right, folks, we have a guest who's calling in. Steve, hello.
What's up?
You are live and part of the market open or close.
You don't even know what time of day it is?
That's well, I've been kind of looking at a $5,000 candle on Bitcoin. So I've been a little distracted.
I don't know how you're kind of doing something. You're either doing something or you're not doing something.
Steve, see, this is what we missed. This is what we missed. What we missed is that.
I need a minute. Hold on.
You guys can tell, right? His throw is like not the best right there. Of course, you're kind of doing something, you're not doing something. That's what Steve does. That's of course what he says. 116.3. It's trying. It is trying. 116.3. Ethereum, I think she's trying to get back there. 29.89. 3,000. There she goes. Second time, 3,000. Second time, 3,000. Second time, 3,000 on Mr. Ethereum. There she goes. Dude, how many of you got? All right, put in the chat what you're loaded up heavier on, Ethereum or Bitcoin. Put in the chat what you're loaded up heavy on, Ethereum or Bitcoin. Dude, this is literally only because of Tom Lee. I just want to say, like, this thing was in the... I mean, look, there's probably more catalysts as well, but Tom Lee became the spokesperson to, like, make this thing pop. It was at 2,100 June 22nd. BMNR after hours up 6%. I don't know if Bitmine's going to explode. Again, you guys remember, it's still up 10x from $4.
A little bit.
So, Steve, you're back.
Sorry, work is just blowing up.
First of all, okay, so I got 10 minutes left too, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But like, dude, how are you? How are you? Like, how's your throat?
I feel great.
Okay, so you've been able to relax the past couple of days?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, there was 3 nights where I maybe slept an hour, maybe 2 at most. Like, I legitimately could not swallow without wincing in pain.
What did you have like food poisoning? How do you think this happened?
No, I went to a wig, I got very sick, I picked something up, I don't know. I've been out of commission since.
You think it was like you think it was like poison ivy or something?
No, I was at a wake with like 1,000 people or 2,000 people, and I picked up a virus. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said lake. That's why. Okay, sorry. So it wasn't food. You think it was like someone spread it to you?
No, it was definitely not food poisoning. This is not food poisoning.
Okay, well, so it seems like you've still been working, even though.
I'm trying to dig myself out of the house. I've been working for the past couple of days, but you know.
So you haven't really been able to eat either, like.
No, yesterday was the first day.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
All right, well, let's just first of all, I think this is like this has been the longest we've gone since not talking like a year in 4 days.
If I said 500 words over the past 4 or 5 days, that could be an overstatement, actually.
Well, the chat missed you. They've been asking for you every day. Ethereum's up 8% right now. Bitcoin's up 5%. XRP is having some fun. Any just general thoughts on what's going on with crypto?
XRP is the future. I tried telling you this. Nobody listens. And I told everybody, Brad Garlinghouse is going to be the most important person in the entire crypto industry.
Okay, that is some A+ glaze right there on Brad. The most important person in crypto, really?
Yes, the most important person in crypto, Brad Garlinghouse.
That's a little. He's more important than Michael Saylor.
Why is Michael Saylor important? He buys Bitcoin. Who cares?
I mean, he has 600,000 Bitcoin.
What's Saylor actually doing for the crypto industry other than buying Bitcoin?
He's making sure there's a bid on Bitcoin.
Good for him. But advancing the crypto industry, Ripple as a company, and Brad Garlinghouse as a CEO is the most important person in crypto.
Okay. What are your thoughts on 4 trillion NVIDIA?
How about my thoughts on Elon?
Let's do that. What are your thoughts on Elon?
This guy should leave Tesla.
Wow. That's a take.
This guy should leave Tesla. The board should fire him.
Okay. Why?
And obviously they're not going to. And obviously, you know, Musk is Tesla. Tesla is Musk. I get all that. But at the same time, this guy is not acting in the best interest of shareholders. He is the CEO of a public company. He has a fiduciary responsibility to all of his shareholders. And his personal actions are impacting Tesla as a business, Tesla as a stock price, and it is not okay. He really, and this is why I have continued to say, CEOs should not get political like this because it can only end badly. It will not end good.
The stock fell to 288 after his America Party thing. It's back to 310. Do you think the market just doesn't care?
Maybe the market doesn't care for now, but this can't end good. If he needs legislation for full self-driving, if it comes down to a hearing in the Senate or whatever agency controls everything, and they deem that LiDAR is the only thing that they're going to allow, he's fucked. He doesn't have Trump on speed dial anymore, and you don't know what you're going to need the government for legislation. And now that the subsidies are gone, they may start looking into SpaceX. Why would you want to be in this position? It is not good. And he has the right to believe whatever he wants to believe, and he has the right to say whatever he wants to say, just as every American. But the difference is, unlike private citizens, he's a CEO of a public company. And his actions are going to cause people to not buy Tesla cars. So even if the stock is doing okay now, what do future sales look like? And all this stuff coming out about FSD hitting things and going into other lanes, then Optimus production getting stalled and everything, you can make an argument that Musk is not focused on Tesla, and that's why these things are happening. He's playing grab ass with XAI. He's playing grab ass with SpaceX. The guy's focus is not at Tesla. If he was really pro-shareholder, SpaceX and XAI would have been holding companies, or there would have been companies of Tesla, wholly owned subsidiaries of Tesla, and Tesla would have been a holding company like this.
So you think they need to fire him? That's what you're saying?
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Who do they replace him with?
Who cares at this point?
Dude, I think Tesla goes down like 70% if they fire him in a day.
Tesla's brand is fucked either way.
I don't really agree with that, Steve. I think
okay.
Dude, they sold 385,000 cars. Where's the brand damage?
Oh my God. Great. They were supposed to be at 10 million cars a year.
Okay, that was a long time ago when he made those promises.
That was a long time ago. That was in 2020. That was his big thing. That was the big push. We're going to get to 10 million cars in 2020. Not happening. 2030. Not happening.
I mean, I get it, but I think
not happening. Everything this guy says is bullshit at the end of the day. Think about it. Production numbers, never going to hit them. Cybertruck, not freaking selling. They may even discontinue it because of how bad it is. Full self-driving was supposed to be here years ago. Not here. Robotaxis was supposed to be here already. Not here. Optimus was supposed to be here by the end of this year. It looks like that's not going to happen. I mean, what's coming true? They're supposed to have a sub $25,000 car already, not happening. You know, Tesla's getting a lot of unfair love because of Musk, and Musk doesn't deliver.
Well, I think the street's going to pay a premium for robotaxi regardless. So, I mean, but you look, you're ready to get your covered calls called away soon. So
yeah, have fun. I could care less. I really don't want to be investing in Tesla anymore because Q2 may be fine. Q3 and Q4 may not be. I mean, you can't tell me that you got a good feeling about how many cars.
No, of course not. Year. Of course not. Of course not.
And you can't tell me you feel good about the energy business now with freaking subsidies going away.
But I feel good about the fact that robotaxi is expanding and that the street cares about physical AI as we get into the next half of the decade.
Expanding into a second market. Oh my God!
It's about perception and narratives, and maybe you don't want to be part of the narrative. That's okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Tesla is in a very bad position because you don't know what this guy's going to say next. And going on and telling Ives to shut up, like really?
Okay, but hold on. I've said he needs to clock in like he's some freaking middle level manager to count his hours. Like I would be a little upset too if Dan Ives' brand is because of Elon. That was his first big call, and now he's telling the guy he has to clock in to work. Like, come on, bro. You're telling me you wouldn't be upset if someone says that to you?
I mean,
there is no Dan Ives without Tesla.
Listen, I want Musk actually working at Tesla.
I think a lot of shareholders do. I'm just saying, I think if Elon leaves the company, no one is touching that stock. So you get the good with the bad, but hopefully it's way more good than bad.
Once again, this company has been fueled by shareholders. The only reason they're in the position they're in is because shareholders have been diluted by more than 100%. And they just kept issuing shares to fund the company, which was a smart move. They didn't get to this point on the balance sheet without diluting the shit out of shareholders. This isn't because they built an amazing business and squirreled away their freaking net income. This is because they diluted, and have a massive balance sheet because of dilution. They're barely freaking profitable for the amount of revenue they generate.
Look, I don't disagree with you. I just think that in the world of AI, if you're talking about S&P 7,000, S&P 10,000, Tesla is not going to be just $1 trillion company. I think they will.
Tesla's not an AI company.
Okay, what are you saying? So what are you saying, Steve? What are you talking about?
Grok is not part of Tesla.
You realize FSD is from AI that has been trained on how to drive.
Guess what? FSD is not real yet.
No, it is very real. I was in the FSD like 2 hours ago when I went to lunch.
No. You were in supervised, not unsupervised.
Well, I mean, Steve, you are stretching this, right? I don't know how mad Elon made you when you were sick, but unsupervised is coming. We know it's happening. AI they're the only real world company that is putting AI out there into the world outside of them and Waymo. Like, you might not want to pay a premium on that. That's fine. You don't have to. I'm just saying. It's not an AI company.
Paying 160 times free cash flow right now is a pretty big premium.
I mean, it's a pretty big premium. You're not wrong. But let's talk about a name that's made you some money this week. I mean, $4 trillion on NVIDIA.
It's going higher.
I feel like it's going way higher this year.
It's going way higher.
I mean, if we see 180, 195 by the end of this year, I don't think that's crazy to say.
How about this? Tanner may be right. It could be 215, 220 by end of the year.
Tanner, you and me both thought Tanner was a little too aggressive. He might be right. He might be right. That is correct.
He might be right.
Did you check the stock draft and how you're doing?
No, I haven't looked.
Okay, well, let me tell you right now. You are number 3.
Hims is fucking me over right now.
Yes, Hims was
something I didn't even want to take. I took it because I thought I could trade it for something.
I said, we'll trade for Apple, and you said no.
Oh, I should have traded it for fucking Apple.
You are up 2.59. It's Matt up 12. Tanner's up 8. I'm up 3. You're up 2.5. Chris is up 0.24. What the hell? Chris was up like 3 today.
Duolingo is not doing well.
Duolingo absolutely is fucking me. Absolutely. I think UNH got Chris today as well. But Matt and Tanner are doing great.
Yeah, it's still early.
All right. So, yeah, I got to get out of here as well. But Bitcoin, 116, the entire crypto market running. I mean, do you have any theory on why you think we're getting this $5,000 candle across the market on crypto? Or
I don't know, but I am telling you that Ripple is going to do some amazing things. People are not ready for the move to XRP is going to experience over the next couple of years.
Last question for you. Do you think Tim Cook should be fired?
He's another one. Get somebody else in fucking Apple. This guy's another one. They should have bought Perplexity already. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, the headline on the street today is Tim Cook should be fired, which I thought was pretty incredible for them to make that argument.
How about this? How about not fired? How about put back as chief operating officer and not CEO? Because he's not a visionary, he's an operator. Tim Cook is an asset, okay? You don't want to get rid of him. You just don't want him leading because he doesn't have the vision.
Yeah.
You know who should lead that company?
Who? I'm actually curious. Who do you think?
I'll give you one guess and then I'll tell you. It'll never happen, but I'll tell you what they should do.
Okay, give me a hint. Is he like a current public CEO? Is he?
Yeah, current public CEO. You tweeted about him not too long ago.
Put in the chat, guys. Put in the chat. I think wait, no, you said current public. So I was gonna say Sam Altman, but that's not.
No, current public CEO. It would never happen, but it would be the best fucking move ever.
Real quick before I guess, there was a theory I heard like a couple days ago that Apple will acquire OpenAI and Sam Altman will become the CEO of Apple.
Not happening.
That would be crazy though, right? Like you're talking about a product CEO, Sam Altman.
Microsoft would never let that happen.
Yeah, that's true. Microsoft wouldn't. Okay, people are Zucks. That it can't be Zucks.
Yes, Mark fucking Zuckerberg. Facebook should figure out a way to pull up the dealable.
What are you talking about? There is no way.
Just listen. Hear me out. They should figure out a way to merge the two fucking companies and have Zuck lead it. Think about it. The amount of free cash flow that Meta generates plus Apple, plus you combine their balance sheets, you fucking put Zuck's products on the cloud inside of fucking Apple, and now you own the devices, you own the fucking media, you own the screen time, you own every aspect.
Okay, it's a fun thought experiment. It's a fun thought experiment, but it's not happening. We know this is never happening.
I know it's not happening, but you put Zuck in charge of Apple and you combine Instagram and Facebook into the Apple ecosystem, that would become a $50 trillion company in the next 10 years.
I mean, yeah, obviously, if two of the Max 7s combined, like the regulators would never allow that, you know?
How amazing would that be? Because Zuck is arguably the greatest CEO we've seen.
I mean, look, he's an operator, so I get it. He executes.
He is a fucking visionary. He's an operator, and he only plays offense. He does not know what defense means because he says, "Cool, watch this. I'm just gonna fucking do what I want to do, and I'm gonna spend whatever I have to spend to do it."
All right. Well, that's the theory. I guess we're gonna see how this plays out for Apple. Hopefully we get to talk to you tomorrow on the close if you're feeling better, and we'll get you on the show, talk more.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I don't know. Something needs to be done with Elon because this is not okay what he's doing.
All right, we will talk more about it and NVIDIA tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right, feel better, Steve. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Later.
Six Steve with the takes, huh? Saying Elon needs to get out of there. Zucks needs to run Apple. I think he had like 15 F-bombs in there. That is Mr. Six Steve. All right, guys, I got to get out of here as well. 116 on Bitcoin. Incredible stuff. If you're heavy Bitcoin or Ethereum, fun day. Robinhood would be having a lot more fun right now. Unfortunately, if it wasn't for this Florida AG stuff, I will try to do some research on it tonight and get you some more details tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. This week has flown by. And we are ending out the second week of Q2 or Q3. Had earnings today with Levi's and Delta. Not bad earnings at all. But Bitcoin really is the story of the day. And some pretty incredible momentum right here for Bitcoin. All right, cool. That is it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys. We will be back tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one. See you guys tomorrow.